Hey, it's murder on the dance floor. Anyway, sorry that that song is stuck in my head. The song is stuck in my head because it's stuck in the head of everyone. Okay, so y'all, we got 6 people on here. Not the strongest start, if I do say so myself. Not to sound like an a-hole, but not the strongest start. Maybe we could start stronger. Hot take. Oh, I need to find. Okay, 50 people. Great. That's great. Yes, I am back in the UK. 80 people. Incredible. Thank you so much to the 103 people. And somehow 130 people have sent 30 likes. I love the people that send 30 likes, but come on, bros. Let's go. Thank you so much for all the likes, my loves. Um, but if 200 people can send likes, that would be great. So, if you can send likes, if you can share, and if you disagree with me, send a guest request. If you disagree with me, send a guest request. If you don't disagree with me, don't send a guest request. But let's get this moving and grooving. Okay, I'm gonna let my first guest on. 350 people on here. Keep on sending likes. That would be great. Okay. If you don't disagree, don't send it. If you disagree, send a guest request. If you don't disagree, don't send a guest request. Hello, Armand.
Hey, brother.
Would you send a guest request to disagree on?
I just wanted to say, Jesus Christ is God.
See, that's not welcome on my live. Preaching, not welcome on my live. Debating, yes. Wags, would you send a guest request to disagree on?
I am definitely behind funding of the IDF and Israel as a whole.
Cool. Why?
Because I believe that they have a right to defend themselves. And there's been multiple attempts to try to make a two-state solution with H group, and every time it's been rejected by them.
When did the H group reject a two-state solution?
I can pull it up real quick. I have a source.
Yeah, name a single time.
All right, give me 1 second.
It's a really pedantic point, everyone, but it is a point nonetheless. Um, anyway, thank you for the 360 people on here. Keep on sending likes so we can get 360 people sharing, sending likes so we can get this out to more eyes and ears. And that would be great. I mean, we can move this along really quickly, viewer, just so you know I can't see or hear you when you're off the app. But they, to my knowledge, have never offered a two-state solution with the H group. So it's never happened. But yeah, it's going to take a while to search it up because it doesn't exist. But I guess I can monologue just for a little bit more. Follow me up here. Share it, like it. Thank you to the people. Yesterday was amazing. Also, I do my Discord. How smart do I think I am? I think I'm pretty smart. If you want to kind of join our community, join the Discord in my bio. People have followed me for a while and still aren't on that Discord. We got like 30 people on here right now. But do join the Discord so you can talk to me during lives if you really want to. Okie dokie, guest. I would like to have a discussion. So if you can come back, that would be great.
No, it was in 1922. I pulled it up.
1922. Yep. Hello, I can't hear you. Wags.
Yeah, 1922.
The H group didn't exist in 1922.
Yeah, but it was called the General Assembly of Arab Elders, and
Bro, come back. The H group didn't exist in 1922. That's why I asked you when they've ever offered the H group this. Not all Palestinians are all Palestinians, right? Not every group that represents one Palestinian is what represents other Palestinians. That's a drastic over generalization and totally unfounded, right? You could reference 1922, you could reference the Oslo Accords, you could reference the Camp David Accords, right? You could reference following 1967, you could reference the UN partition plan in 1948. I know my history. That's why I know that they've never offered the H group a two-state solution. So could you say something that's true?
Yeah, I guess I misspoke on that one. I was just thinking as like being offered to Arab groups in general, because kind of lumped H group in there. But there's H group basically takes all the supplies that everyone sends into Palestine and uses it to their own like gain. Can we
Okay,
agree
then
on
how are
that?
2 million civilians living in Gaza?
Yeah, I know how many there are.
Then how are they living there if the H group takes everything?
Well, they take a lot of it.
What
I mean,
proportion?
it was going in through Egypt. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they were trying to smuggle in weapons to H group. They got busted at the border
That
by
doesn't mean that,
IDF.
wait, yeah, because the IDF regulates the Gazan border.
Mm-hmm.
But relevance, question mark?
Is they were trying to smuggle in weapons to H group.
I don't doubt that the H group is a militant group that is trying to bring weapons into its territory.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Okay, so what makes you believe that? Okay, let's say Israel pulls out of Gaza completely. The IDF puts on a full retreat. Do you really think the H group is going to stop leveling attacks against Israel?
I said no. I don't think it will.
Okay. So would you agree that Israel is probably our strongest and most reliable ally in the Middle East? And they're basically
No.
surrounded by
I'd say Jordan's probably a stronger ally.
Jordan?
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan's kind of shaky on that.
Really?
Yeah,
what do you know about the Jordanian allyship with America?
I would say probably a better ally than Jordan would be the Turks.
They're debatably in the Middle East is the issue with that one.
I'm sorry, what?
They're debatably in the Middle East, which is the issue with that one.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're in the general vicinity. I don't know if you want to.
That's different than being in the Middle East. But
the
reason I talk, but once again, so you asked a question and then kind of moved away from that. You said, well, if they pull out of Gaza, will the H group stop fighting? No, because even if they pull out of Gaza, Israel will still be committing war crimes through its occupation. So the whole entire point is, from my view, there will be violence in this area, at the very least, until Israel stops committing war crimes, right? There was violence in Algeria until France stopped committing occupational war crimes. There was violence in South Africa until apartheid ended, right? So no matter who it is, no matter how justified or unjustified they are, there will be violence until the other side stops committing violence. And Israel's occupation, at least following 1967, is illegal occupation, and that occupation is violence.
Okay, but I totally get what you're saying, but at the same time, I really don't believe, even if Israel pulled all the way out and just let Palestine be its own country, supply its own water, supply its own electricity, the whole 9 yards, I still don't believe that H group is gonna just sit down and not keep committing acts of terror. I don't buy that.
Well, you realize that people said that about the PLO, right? Fatah. And now Fatah is working with the PA, which is directly integrated with Israeli administration, and has offered and respected a two-state solution following 1967. Fatah was labeled a T group as well. This idea that Palestinians are totally unreasonable and would never submit to international law is nonsense. It's just that we have denied their rights for so long and supported extremists in their area. Just to be very clear, what became the H group, the jihadists that became the H group, were supported by Israel.
Yes,
that
same
Israel
thing like with the U.S. Yes, same thing like the U.S. and the
Mujahideen, which is
Taliban.
disgusting. Yeah. which is absolutely, and it was a mistake, and it was well beyond a mistake. We knew what we were doing, and it was actively disgusting when we did it, and it was actively disgusting when Israel did it. So Israel has been destabilizing them for so long that even the thing that they used to refer to as a T group has shown that they are willing to stabilize an area, because Fatah is currently in control of the West Bank right now, or at least portions of the West Bank. So, I mean, you can say that the Palestinians are totally unfit to handle themselves, but right now it's very clear that the Israelis are totally unfit to handle the Palestinians as well. So the solution is clearly to allow some form of international, collaboration with them, but Israel's not allowing that. It all goes back to the Israeli occupation.
Right, and I mean, at the same time, though, Israel is surrounded by enemies. It's one of the reasons why
Why did they declare war on them?
why we sent the Fifth Fleet to the Red Sea. Is they're there to basically just stop any other countries from interfering.
You talking about the Houthis?
Huh?
The Fifth Fleet right now to the Red Sea?
Is in the Red Sea, yeah.
Fighting the Houthis.
They're there just stabilizing, but
stabilizing against whom?
Against the surrounding countries from interfering.
What country was trying to interfere?
Well, some T groups in Turk have been launching drones.
Turkey was launching drones?
Not
T groups in Turkey were
T groups in
Turkey were launching drones to the Red Sea?
Yeah, and we shut them down.
To the Red Sea?
Yeah.
Intriguing. Do you know where the Red Sea is?
Yeah, it's in between Africa and the Middle East.
Okay. It'd be really difficult for Turkey to send, autonomous drones all the way from Turkey, right, on the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, but we can check the verity of that statement.
I mean, at this point, there are more than a dozen countries that have military vessels in the Red Sea.
There's only one country agitating the West in the Red Sea.
Which is?
The Houthis in Yemen.
No, it's not only them.
It quite literally is. Saudi Arabia is our ally. Eritrea is in the state of eternal war with Ethiopia, right? Djibouti, we have military bases on. Somalia and Somalian pirates have long been been taken down in power. What other country in the Red Sea?
No, the pirates are still active. I'll tell you that.
The pirates are well disempowered. They're active, but it's barely touching them. Saudi Arabia does not support the Houthis, Egypt's in the comments. Saudi Arabia has been at war with the Houthis for the past 10 years.
Saudi Arabia is kind of a frenemy with us, though. I wouldn't.
Everyone's a frenemy with us,
ally on paper, but they're not our ally in reality.
But in relation to the Houthis, they are our ally because we've been funding their war against the Houthis. Okay, I can't see or hear you. Just noting. I don't know where you've gone. I'd love to know where you have gone. Oh, okay. Hey, murder on the dance floor. But you better not hear the groove. Yeah. Okay. If the 400 people can send likes, follow me. Thank you so much. Thank you for the gifts as well, by the way, Slay Queens. Hello. Do you disagree?
I think it should be conditional aid. I think before you completely remove all funding, I think you should say you have an opportunity to make changes and we'll continue funding you. Give them an ultimatum, and if they say no to that, then you can remove the funding.
Well, I mean, we basically agree. I just think we remove the funding and then we add the conditions.
I think it's more strategic to give them an ultimatum and then do it, I think.
I don't.
Why?
But because then they're writhe and suffer effectively. Because we have an extremist right-wing government, right, in Israeli politics right now. And they are filled with let me just be clear, idiots and psychopaths. Um,
Right.
and the only way that we incite public pressure against them, right, in a direct and clear way, the thing that people understand is immediate economic failure.
Yes,
And that's the consequence of their government, right?
unfortunately, I don't know what do you assume that if the U.S. removes aid to Israel that their like economy is going to go into free fall or something? Like,
If we remove diplomatic, military, and economic support, yeah, it would.
what do you base that off of?
I mean, off of the billions and billions of investment dollars, direct aid dollars, and consumer dollars that they get from us recognizing their intellectual property, having a free trade agreement, and sending billions of military and economic support aid to them.
I think it's something like 2 billion, 3 billion a year.
3.8,
but
3.8 billion
their
in direct
economy is
military
much
funding.
larger than that, and you do have to also contemplate that they might, just turn to another entity like Russia. It won't be the same, but
You think?
I mean, I think like it's one thing to end U.S. funding, but I think what would be more impactful is something like sanctions.
Yeah, but sanctions start with removing the non-sanctions with it, which is aid. There's no point
Yeah,
in sending aid
of
and
course.
sanctions.
I don't
But
buy the premise that if you somehow remove aid that they're going to like collapse. I don't think
I don't think they're going to collapse. I
think
think
it
their
would have
economy
to
is going to
be
go into free fall. So we account for a quarter of their trade in a given year.
right, and that's trade. That's not
No, I know, but
US funding.
that is due to a free trade agreement that we have with them.
Okay.
And that's part of when I say economic, diplomatic, and military support. A free trade agreement is a form of economic support.
Yeah, and again, I think like whenever you would do these things, you have to make it very clear about what it is that you would expect them to do in exchange for like return of normalized relations.
Yeah. But if we're just saying, obviously, we want them to, stop being an apartheid state, stop being genocidal maniacs to the Palestinians, stop it committing war crimes, etc. Right? We can set any number of conditions. The reason I say this is because until we stop doing it, right, especially stop doing it with no pre-given conditions, because we're already giving the money. It's already our policy to give them without conditions, effectively. We are co-signing their war crimes. Right, when we flex diplomatic muscles to support them, we're co-signing the war crimes when we send them, billions of dollars in military weaponry, right? Because it has to be used to buy American weaponry by and large. We're co-signing it. It's American bombs. Quite a lot of the bombs are American bombs. So there's a moral thing here, but there's also a strategic diplomatic thing here. So when you pull out funding, they see the effects immediately. Whereas if you condition it, you don't get that immediate political pressure.
Make it like a month-long conditional process. It doesn't have to be drawn out for a year or something. Just make it like, okay, you got a month to change.
I think the Netanyahu government has about a month in office, quite honestly.
I don't think Israel's going to hold elections until the war essentially, or you'll call it a genocide. I'll call it a war. Is over.
Yeah. So, and what I was going to say is, I don't think the Netanyahu government has a month if America changes its tune.
Oh,
because
maybe.
Yeah.
But on a practical,
do we have a disagreement?
Well, there's some things that I've been watching you debate the pro-Israelis, and like I think you're very knowledgeable and probably one of the best pro-Pali debaters. But there are some things like the other day I think you were talking about what was it? You were talking about what was going on in Britain, and then I think that would be. And do you remember that debate you're having that guy about like?
Be specific about what I said.
You were like talking about like, oh, it's the British mandate for Palestine, and they were supposed to be caretakers and all that. Do you remember that debate?
Yeah,
right. And so I think like the important context would be that the British at a certain point when they there was constant violence between the Jews and the Arabs. They investigated it in the Peel Commission. And do you know the conclusion of the Peel Commission?
Well, the Peel Commission actually had a lot more to do with the violence between the British and the Israeli terrorists. It did in part have to do with the Arab and Israeli violence. But I don't believe actually the Peel's Commission's conclusion ever got ratified by the UN General Assembly. I'm
No,
aware
no,
that
it
there
wasn't.
was
It wasn't a
yeah.
UN thing. It wasn't. The
No,
Peel Commission was
the
not a
Peel
UN
Commission was
motion.
proposed.
Really? Oh,
Well,
interesting.
at the end, they were at least were intending to propose it. It was an international action within the League of Nations. So obviously, it was the League of Nations at the time.
Right.
But it was an
the
action
point is
under
that
the
they
League of
recommended
Nations. It never
partition.
got ratified. The Peel Commission conclusion was never actually offered officially to anyone. I'm aware that there was a partition under the Peel Commission, but it was never offered to anyone, never made formal in any way, and never ratified under any international body.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah,
to
I guess
answer your question,
we
I don't really
don't
care.
disagree
Yeah.
about too much because I don't disagree with the U.S. funding. I think like in general you're pretty fair, but I think there's a few things where like you're a little more one-sided and yeah.
Slay.
Okay, take care.
You too. Peace out. I'll let this guy up. He's been in the guest request for a while. Mason.
Oh, hey.
What's up?
Okay. What's up? I was very confused. I've never met you before or seen you before, honestly. I went up to watch Nicholson's live and sorry, NYC Joe's live. I saw you on there, and I was just watching, and I like couldn't believe how like great you were up on there. You were absolutely
Thank
awesome,
you.
bro. And I was so shocked you follow me. Have you seen any of my like debates or lives or something, or come across me?
I don't
think
remember
you do.
why
I'm
I
not sure.
followed you, TBH. I think I probably followed you because you were in my request for so long. And I knew that you like agreed with me. So like I just wanted to give you the opportunity
Sweet.
to
But I
DM
just
if you
wanted
had
to tell
something
you
to
you're
say.
doing awesome. Yeah. I checked out all
Thank
your
you so
like
much. I
videos and
appreciate
stuff,
it.
and also like I'm Drew's. So if you have any questions, have you looked into how long you've been? Yeah, it's a whole
Yeah,
like
I was talking about the Druze people yesterday.
really.
Actually, I did want to ask this. So, like, according to like every
I'm
source, like from
Lebanese, so like
cool.
our version or our like we're very separate from the Israelis. Ever since 48, we've been very distant from them. We don't like have much communication. There is between the sheikhs of our people and their sheikhs, but besides that, we're not really allowed to like have much connection. I do talk to some people, but it's not necessarily legal, right? I do it like underground in a way. I don't know.
Yeah. The only
Yeah.
question I had about Druze people is according to every like Western source I could find, the Druze consider themselves Arab.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely true. I mean, we branched from Ismailism, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look at it, we were definitely Arab. There were even Druze leaders in the 1800s that were calling for Arab unification. We speak Arabic, we adopt the Arab identity. So I don't see why not. In Israel, it seems like a lot of people have become convinced that they aren't, which I really don't understand. I think it's just propaganda. And the split after 1948, I think initially what I understand is, I'm not sure if you know this about the Druze, but a lot of the stuff you find online is just not true. A lot of it's propaganda. Whenever you look up Druze, Israel's going to pop up. Even though the people living in Israel are an extreme minority, they like to tokenize our religion to show that, oh, here's an Arab serving in the IDF. Here's an Arab. By the way, conscription is mandatory, right?
Yep, for the
For
Druze,
the
yeah.
Druze. Yeah. So it's like, it's definitely not true when they say, oh, Arabs aren't supposed to, they don't conscript, they willingly conscript. No, for Druze people, they do, 120,000 of them. So yeah, that's just something, there's a
Absolutely.
lot more
Well,
stuff I
and that
could
was
get
the only
into, but I
question.
don't
But
want to.
if I get something wrong about the Druze, you're always welcome to DM me. That is also why I follow you. So please do.
No,
And if you see me and I say something, or if there's just information, let me know. Very cool.
no problem.
But
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you
Nice
coming up
meeting
and
you.
sharing. Yeah,
Take care.
absolutely. You too.
How do I disconnect?
I got
Great.
you, Queen.
Thank you.
Womp womp womp. It's murder on the dance floor. But I keep going. Hey. Keep on following, liking, sharing, slaying. Hello, Chip.
Oh, hey. Sorry. What's up, man? I didn't know
Do you
picked me up.
disagree?
One sec. No sound. Hold on. This is Will McC. Will Z back up. Hold on. I can't hear you. If you can hear me, I apologize. I have to come back in.
You can't hear me?
Will Z back up. Okay, got it.
Everyone
I'll be
in
right
the
back.
comments.
I'll be right.
Yep. Everyone in the comments, tell him to update his app or to restart the app. Chip's the best. What is this, Chip man? TikTok. Oh no, not the thirst trap coming up on my TikTok. Okay. Hey, very cool guy. No, I've never seen Chip.
What's up, Will Z? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. You're pro Pally, are you?
Well, I'm pro for the oppressed. In this case, the oppressed happens to be the Palestinians, so that's what I'm for.
Absolutely.
I wish I knew people. I don't know anybody in Gaza, East Jerusalem, or the West Bank, but I wish I did because they seem like super kind people. But I also don't know anybody in Israel, so I don't really feel like I'm taking sides, although I get accused constantly of being unfair or biased. But I really don't have a dog in the fight, other than the fact that I think it's bad how the Palestinians have been mistreated for decade after decade after decade after decade. You get the point. So
Absolutely same.
now I've been
That's my
studying this
general
since
view as well.
now I'm 56, and I learned about this when I was 21, and I've read every book I can get my hands on, including those written by pro-Israel authors like Alan Dershowitz and others. And I went to the pro-Israel rally. I go out of my way to try to learn from the other point of view just so I can really understand people. But there's a misconception that's been reiterated in the chat here by someone named, I don't know her name. She's been saying over and all, stop Jewish hate. Here she is, Vixen. So the point is, there's a mistaken conflation between being against political Zionism and the behavior or misbehavior of the Israeli government and that whole machine that's been crunching the Palestinians for decades. And I understand their desire for security from, retaliatory attacks and what they're trying to do to maintain security. I understand that point of view, but there is no way to justify the harm that was associated with the establishment of the state of Israel, as well as what led up to it by groups like the Irgun and others, and the terror campaigns that took place during the Nakba that forcibly displaced over 700,000 indigenous, mostly Arab Muslims from the territory. Read Ilyan Pape's book, The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, you get a very clear idea. But what the Israelis have done subsequent to that is my real beef. It's bad enough it was that one historical injustice that spread people across the entire region at no fault of their own. Then they're blamed for not being able to develop properly versus what the Israelis have done. But the Israelis have controlled every aspect of Palestinian life for 7 decades, forcefully, militarily, and otherwise. And then they spit on them on top of that, and they treat them as less than a value of a Jewish life, which is terrible. And that is perpetuated up to this day. And you've seen the colors of the Israeli government. This is the good thing about this, which is everything's horrible except for this one reality. And that is through apps like TikTok and other elements of social media that's not directly under the control of the establishment, at least not fully, has shown people once and for all the true colors of the Israeli government and the Zionist movement that propels their behavior. And therefore, there's a different dynamic moving forward with respect to public opinion, also vis-a-vis the Americans who are supporting them. So I'm glad for that, although it had to come at the huge cost of many Palestinian lives. But those martyrs can rest assured that not only do they have their reward they were seeking, but they've also changed the dynamics forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do agree. And I appreciate that. And you seem like a cool guy. It's always nice to meet other, people who have general sense, I guess, is the general term for supporting human rights. And are you American, Chip? Or do you spread that?
I am.
Do you
I'm
share
from the
that?
East Coast of the U.S. I'm a combat veteran. I served in the first Persian Gulf War in 1990. And,
Wild.
just voracious reader, voracious content consumer, and just love learning new things. And I feel badly for people that are sheltered from the realities that provide the context that's so necessary to understand this conflict. And if you do it from a one-sided viewpoint, yeah, you can say that it was an unprovoked attack on 10/7, but everything was not fine on 10/6. Maybe if you sat on the Israeli side of the border, it was fine for you. But life has been difficult for many decades for many people, and it has no outlook for anything better. And therefore, what would you do if you were under the thumb of an occupying power who was blockading your nation and didn't allow anything in or out except at their discretion? They treat you like crap. They call you less than human. And all they do is come in periodically and mow the lawn by, unaliving thousands of people and destroying property and destroying lives. That's called being under a colonial power, and you have the right to resist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I agree, and it's amazing, like generally, to see Americans do this because we are so inundated with Israeli propaganda and with pro-Zionist propaganda, right? There's no party in America for us. There's no party in America that disagrees with the Zionist agenda. There's no party in America that represents, the oppressed peoples of Palestine and of the Middle East in general. So it's very good. I'm from the East Coast as well, actually, Chip. I currently live in the UK, going to school there. So
Okay,
gracious learner as
cool.
well, but learning law there, so not politics, which would be cool. But
Just
yeah,
as a
it is
side note, how
amazing.
long have you been on? How long have you been on TikTok?
About 3 years now.
Okay, well, I'm 3 months, so I can't quite match your
Hey,
expertise. I'm learning quickly. But I've enjoyed the ride so far. I'm new to social media, but I do a live 6 days a week, so I'm sure you do a lot of lives too. You're good at it, and your arguments are very cogent, concise, and persuasive and well informed. So I appreciate that about you.
I try. I could not do 6 lives. That's crazy, man. I don't have time, but good for you. Iconic. I know some people that do it. Like, do you follow like Dean and Parker? They don't do lives on like Israel Palestine, but they do lives on other shit, and they do it like
Yeah,
literally every
like
day.
what
Wild,
is
but
being gay bad or stuff like that? Those kind
yeah,
of, yeah, I've seen Parker. Parker, he's a workhorse. I've seen him on a lot of lives, but he has a lot of followers too.
yeah, it's wild. No, they've been on. So Parker's been on for about as long as I have.
Okay.
We've known each other for actually most of that time. Dean's on for a similar timing as you actually, and does probably a similar amount as you. My difficulty is I just don't have time for, you know, an everyday live. But very cool to see new people. That's what we need. We need more people up and on, social media that I guess, it's not terribly in the control of the, American hegemony. So we can get the word out at least a little bit, and that's nice to see.
Yeah, it's really important. Also, it's important for Westerners who understand the dynamics to speak out because the perception among most Palestinians are the world just doesn't understand or care about their plight. And that's just not true. Like I said, the great news is, though, many, many millions more have woken up and understand the dynamics much better and are horrified at what they're seeing. And by the way, this is the absolute worst of the Israeli behavior I've ever seen over the years. And I'm kind of glad they're doing it. I think they're actually shooting themselves in the foot long term because
Yeah,
you can't maintain a country when you're ostracized to the point like a South Africa was back in the day. And Israel's become a complete pariah state. And if it weren't for the support at the UN by the US, this would not be happening, as well as the armaments and the money and the military and political cover.
absolutely. Well, look what happened. How did apartheid South Africa happen? It was largely internal, but it was also largely external. When boycotts functioned,
Yeah.
when countries stopped trading with them, when countries stopped diplomatically supporting them, they had to change their policy because it enabled the internal politics to work as they should, not with huge amount of corporate greed and corporate and Western and corporate interests, right? Funding and funneling money into them. So absolutely, yeah, the external pressure matters a lot because unfortunately, as the West, we do have at least quite a lot more power over the situation. The West does have that power to, uphold a terrorist state like the Israeli state. And as long as we continue doing that, it doesn't really matter as much what other, notably less powerful, less economically, empowered peoples do, unfortunately,
Yeah,
which I
two
agree.
quick things before I'll sign off and let some other people talk, but two quick things before I sign out. One is somebody in the comments was saying you are just a joke. So if you think I'm funny, thank you. I appreciate that because I don't get that from many people. But secondly, people are asking about the ICJ. Somebody said the ICC, but I think they meant the ICJ. They asked me what my thoughts are on that. So unfortunately, like most of these international bodies, including the ICC, they have teeth only if you're on the receiving end from one of the superpowers. However, if you're among the superpowers, the rules do not apply to you. So while it would be good to have a conviction, and by the way, if any of these leaders who are convicted would go to a country that could enforce it, they could potentially be arrested, which probably won't happen for political reasons. But it's good to have that scarlet letter to further the pariah state status on whether it's going to be just Israel or the US or both. What are your thoughts, Will?
I agree. So we'll see. So it matters that it's South Africa doing it, from my view, because South Africa obviously is in BRICS, meaning they have Chinese support in general, and China is I believe, China and Russia, at least between them, have a veto power in the UN. So they have teeth in the UN in some form or fashion.
Mhm.
Um, so it matters a little bit. I agree. It's mainly a scarlet letter so that we can get basically the whole East to not be sanctioned when they sanction Israel. So it means that the international community loses some of their teeth against people who would hurt Israel or harm Israel in certain ways. But yeah, fundamentally, like it's not like Rwanda where it was the West going after Rwanda. We won't actually see Netanyahu go to jail, which would be great.
Yep.
But we will see maybe some, allowance of sanctions, and it also just it further solidifies the obvious answer, which is that Israel has been, an international criminal state for quite a while. And it's a good rhetorical point, if nothing else. But yeah, I agree. They're not actually going to go to jail. They're not actually going to get sanctioned by the West. That would be insane.
And no doubt. Yeah, two comments just came through in the comments. I kind of watched them while you're talking. And one of them said, "Who pays you?" And I wish there was somebody paying me, but I can't take credit.
Same.
If you would like to start, though, I can give you my link tree so you can go down my links and send me something. But somebody else said in the comments, Palestinians are gay. And, I think like any population, there probably are some people that are born, with same-sex attraction in the Palestinian community. But I don't think the totality of Palestinian society is homosexual, not from what I've learned.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming up, Jim.
Yeah,
You seem like a cool guy. Also, I did follow you. It's always cool to meet Pally, or at least, people working for the Palestinian liberation and the liberation of all people. So very cool to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. But by the way, Will, real quick, I'll sign off. I would love to have a 2-on-2 panel with you sometime, whether it be on your platform or mine or whatever, so we can talk to some people and have some fun with it.
Yeah, just follow me and DM me and we can organize it. That's great.
Got it, man. Take care.
You too. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Damn, I've been meeting some cool people, everyone. I've been meeting some cool people. That's what's happening. I've been meeting some cool people. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Okay. What I'm going to say is thank you so much for the follows. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the gifts. Very cool, very slay. The gifts boost this live. And as he said, if anyone wants to pay me, baby, my Cash App has my LinkedIn has my Cash App. I don't get nearly enough money for this. You know how much the pro-Israeli get paid for? There are some dudes on here that get like 5K for being pro-Israeli. I ain't seen 5K in 3 years. Anyway, I don't do this for the money. It's just crazy, When people are like, "Oh, you only do this for the money." Homie, I get paid minimum wage. Anyway. Hello.
Oh,
Hello, can you hear
yeah.
me?
Yeah, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm asking how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Would you send a guest request to disagree on?
No, I was just asking how are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
Oh, how old am I? I'm
Mhm.
36.
You're 36.
And
Would you
you?
send a guest request to disagree on?
Excuse me?
Okay.
No, are you asking me if I agree with?
It seems we're either having some technical or intellectual
Hey,
difficulties there.
Will, I just wanted to say hi. How are you doing, bro?
Very cool. Very
I see you're cooking people over here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
I watched
appreciate
your last live with on NYC Joe's. That was pretty dope, pretty decent. But yeah, I really agree to end all U.S. funding to Israel and the IDF. I really agree on that for sure, 100%.
Well, thank you so much. Well, hey, I'm gonna go try and find someone who disagrees. So I
Okay,
appreciate
cool.
you.
All right. Bye.
Peace. Once again, if you want to talk to me personally, go in my Discord. My Discord's linked in the bio.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? How old are you?
I am 36.
Wonderful. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
All right. I just wanted to present a hypo.
Okay.
If Israel were to lay down all weapons, declare peace, two-state, all that stuff, what would happen to the Israelites?
Wait, all weapons on what terms?
Well, everything. Peace.
So they return to the
peace.
so they
What would
return to the
Palestinians
peace
do
deal
to
offered by the PLO.
I'm saying 100% peace. This is a hypothetical. What would Palestinians do to Israel if Israel laid down all their weapons, everything?
Well, they've actually shown this in the West Bank. So had Israel accepted the peace deal
Yeah,
offered
but
to
they
them
kicked
by
Israel out of the West Bank. They voted Hamas in. But no,
in the West Bank,
don't change my hypothetical. I'm saying if Israel literally agreed to peace, what would Palestine do to Israel?
well, Palestine isn't like a they
Thank
don't have
you.
a
I'm not trying to
unified
do that. I'm
army.
not trying to do if buts. What would Palestine and Hamas do to Israel? They would wipe them from the earth,
Do
from
you want
sea
an
to sea,
answer?
right? Well, you won't answer.
Well, I'm trying to answer.
Okay, so
The
if
difficulty
Israel
is
put down
it would
all
be
their
like asking
weapons,
it would
what
be
would
like
Palestine
asking
do?
sorry, shush. Because you've interrupted me 3 times now trying to answer your question, which I don't appreciate the first time. The third time, I'm well overdone. Okay? Does that make sense?
I'm waiting on you to answer.
No, you're not, though, because you consistently interrupted me. So I'm going to try and answer you the question in the way that I can, but I don't love being interrupted. I don't love speaking to someone who doesn't want to speak to me. So if you don't want to speak to me, don't. So to answer the question, the best way I could answer that is to reference what has actually happened. Okay? Because from my view, if they laid down their weapons, right, in a agreement with these parties, by and large there would be peace if that agreement was in line with international law. We know that because they had an offer directly from the PLO, right, which they termed a T group as well in that time, for a two-state solution under the Camp David Accords.
Yeah,
And that well
Israel.
would have been respected, and Israel denied it.
Palestine denied it.
Nope, Palestine didn't deny their own offer.
Yes, they did.
You're saying that Palestine, you're saying
Israel
the
agreed to a
PLO, you're
two-state
saying
solution.
the PLO
Look,
denied their own
I'm going to say the
offer?
facts. Israel agreed to a two-state thing. They agreed to autonomy. Israel got out of the West Bank and Palestine and allowed them to choose their own government. The Palestinian people chose Hamas as their leaders. Hamas invaded
you only know
Israel and raped
like
and murdered
headlines.
1,600 people. If somebody did that to my child, I would turn Palestine into glass. All of them. I don't care. You have 40,000 Hamas members controlling millions of people that voted Hamas in. I would turn them into glass. Nuclear.
One second.
Over. Done.
Okay.
Flood the tunnels,
Okay.
nuke them when they
Can
come
I stop
out.
you there for a second? Can I ask you your name?
Oh, my name.
Yeah.
Who
You
started
can
this
give a
war?
fake
Who
first name if
started
you'd
this
like.
war? Did Hamas not kill 1,600 innocent people and rape the children and females?
1 second. So,
Okay,
what we are
who
going to do
started the
before we
war?
get into this,
If you punch
1
me,
second.
I'm gonna fucking.
We need to follow TikTok friendly language. Because my account is at risk, your account would be at risk. So you need to use TikTok friendly language. Do you understand what TikTok friendly language is?
No, fuck TikTok. Fuck my account.
Then that's what happens. It's not that hard. Okay, send a guest request if you disagree with me. Don't send a guest request if you don't disagree with me. Crazy how that works. Thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you aren't already, join my Discord. It's linked to my bio. So is my YouTube, which you should absolutely follow because TikTok, once again, doesn't like me because of, dipshits like that. Yeah, slay the day. Let's keep going.
Hi.
Hi, would you send a guest request to disagree on?
Honestly, a friend of mine told me you're really pro-Palestinian, and he suggested I go and debate with you, considering I'm pro-Israeli and I live in Israel.
Oh, very cool. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that then. Do you support the actions of the IDF in Gaza?
When it comes to protecting our people against the age group and eradicating the age group, yes.
Okay, so how did denying, Red Cross access to Gaza, or to the West Bank for that matter, protect you?
Denying the Red Cross access to Gaza was done by the age group. In fact, Israel has been begging the Red Cross to visit our hostages there since the beginning of the war.
Actually, you're categorically wrong. Within the first 7
Mhm.
days following October 7th, Israel did not let anyone or any materials in other than
Well, of
direct
course, there
IDF
was a
members.
blockade. There was a blockade to prevent the age group from leaving Gaza and escaping, as they tend to do. Following
But
that, we've
that
been begging the
includes the Red Cross.
But you are not letting me speak.
I let you speak.
Thank you. So I was saying, following that, we've been begging the Red Cross to visit our hostages and give them their medication and anything that they may need, and they haven't been, which was prevented by the age group.
Well, I don't doubt that the age group are war criminals. What we're talking about is whether the IDF is a war criminal, and denying the Red Cross for any amount of time access to a war zone, especially an extraordinarily deadly war zone, like was made in Gaza following the attack, is a war crime. Do you disagree?
Honestly, I don't know enough about the subject to discuss it, but I do
Then
believe that
why
there
are
will
you
be
up here?
and about the war crimes, I can discuss other
You don't
things.
think it matters if your country's committing war crimes?
I did not say that. Why are you putting words in my mouth? I
It
said
was a
that there will be
question.
an independent investigation following everything. Wouldn't there not be?
Like the independent investigation that found that the IDF recklessly killed 32 UN peacekeepers, also a war crime?
UN peacekeepers.
Yeah.
How about
In
the
southern
British?
Lebanon.
How about the British investigation that revealed that out of the 107, not UK, UK investigation that revealed that out of the 107 so-called reporters being unalived in Gaza, 101 of them were age group workers with age group family members. So let's just say
you claimed in an independent report. Who did that
independent
report?
investigation by not by a researcher.
What researcher?
Let me find his name. Give me a second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Easiest way to beat a Zionist in an argument. Source.
Exactly, 100%.
What I will say is we're hitting 800 people on here. Thank you so much, 800 people. That is incredible. If you don't already follow me, follow me. If you disagree with this statement up here, send a guest request and we can talk. And if you want to talk to me on here, join my Discord. We have a nice little community going. Gorgeous and slaying. Thank you, 900 people. That is incredible. We're all doing incredibly. And thank you for the gifts that boost the live. Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep on going just for a little second.
All right.
Okay. Who? Yeah. Do you have it?
I have it in my DMs. The problem is I'm trying to find it on Google because I can't have a floating window of my TikTok DMs.
You don't need to show it on the screen. I can look it up as well.
Yeah, but I'm trying. I, for the life of me, can't remember his name. It was a complicated name.
Do you know the organization it was with?
It's a prominent researcher.
With what organization?
I don't remember all the articles that I read every single day.
I'm just wondering what
organization. You know what? I'm going to drop and come back if you want.
Okay.
Can you give me 2 seconds? Thanks.
Once again, thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the follows. Thank you so much for the gifts. Much love and slay the day. And get out there, talk about this issue. Get some more eyes and ears on this issue. Hello, how old are you?
Hello, shut up.
How old are you?
We're 18.
We're 18.
What year were you born?
What?
What year were you born?
2005.
I don't really care. 2005 is when an 18-year-old would be born, but also I don't really care. Also, just for y'all's information, I was born in 2004.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, would you send a guest request to disagree on? Would you send a guest request to disagree on?
Oh no, I want to explain why I support Israel.
So, do you want to have a discussion disagreeing on this?
Yeah, because I'm a radical accelerationist.
Oh
So I
God, you're
believe that
insufferable.
if
Hello.
Doing?
Would you send a guest request to disagree on?
Well, the top thing, I think we should fund Israel forever. That's pretty much my agreement on, not agreements, but disagreements.
Cool.
And
Why?
why?
Also, how old are you?
I'm 40.
40. Lovely. Would you send a guest request to disagree? Yeah. So, why do you think we should?
It's the only country in the Middle East that will support U.S. if it ever was in trouble.
Really? Because I believe Jordan has a direct intelligence integration with us. Saudi has supported us militarily and intelligence-wise. I mean, we could go on with a few other ones in the Middle East that have. I believe we have some economic ties into Qatar, right? The UAE we've dealt with and had diplomatic ties with. What are you talking about?
A lot. A military man that's been in the military 14 years and got 8 deployments on my back. So I can tell you exactly what the Middle East is about, not what you think it is. Now, the media tells you that the bad people are on the Palestinian or the Israel side. Now, Netanyahu is a
It
bad
doesn't.
man.
It really, really doesn't.
Netanyahu is a bad man. I agree. I'm not denying that he has a history of being a bad person. Now, that doesn't make Israel and the right to Israel defend itself and take over the bad factions. I mean, they're doing what they're supposed to do to defend their country. What they do there will definitely depict our salvation when it comes to our country. Our country will not be taken. I mean, these people aren't who you think they are. What's your idea of the age group? You think they're going to come and shake your hand and be, jump around and
Do you believe that I support the H group?
you might not, but the same people that you are supporting, they'll turn around and unalive you from the back. Because I've dealt with people in the Middle East
Well, I'm
for eight.
just advocating that no matter anyone's ideology, they don't deserve to have war crimes committed against them.
But is it a war crime when you're defending yourself?
Well, under international law, many actions of Israel are war crimes. Killing journalists, for example, war crime. Not letting the
So
Red Cross into a war zone, war crime.
do you understand what is the definition of a war crime? Are they maliciously trying to unalive innocent
You don't
people?
have to be malicious. You can be negligent.
No, the U.S. has done it 24/7.
Yeah, the U.S. is the largest war criminal in the world.
So I think so. Look, have you never been to war? You've never been in combat, correct?
What? Okay, I'm 19. What war do you think I would fight in?
Probably none. I can tell
Okay.
you hate the U.S. Yeah, so probably
Never
none.
said I hated the
That's
U.S.
your opinion. Well, you already said that we're warmongers and we unalive people for
We
no
are
reason.
war. Well, I said we were the largest war criminals in the world. That's just stating a fact. Stating a fact isn't stating an
Right.
ideological
And all
opinion.
soldiers unalive people for fun. I got you. That's what you say
No,
about
I didn't say that.
troops.
Wait, so it's just
We
indisputable that America is the largest war criminal in the world. That's just a fact. I mean, if you say you have 8 deployments, I hope you understand the impacts of those actions.
the impacts? Yeah.
Yeah, under international law, America, and I believe there was a report by Pew Research that found that a third of U.S. soldiers that ever were on active duty committed one or more war crimes.
Hmm. So do you know that
So
the U.S. is the only country that has prosecuted American service members for war crimes?
you realize that what? No, wait, sorry. The only one that has prosecuted American service members. Yeah, because under international law, it's illegal for the
No,
ICC
no, no,
to
no, no. I'm talking about service
prosecute.
members in general. Service members in general.
That's not
So
true.
our
Israel
country
has.
tried to
Wait, that's
do,
not true. Even Israel has prosecuted service members.
but compare our numbers, nowhere near. But
But what
here's
you
my
said
point
was not
about that.
true then.
Here's my point about that. Here's my
No, but the
point
thing
about
that
that.
you can't just go off feelings. The
It,
thing that you said was not true. Say something that's true.
no, it is true. We do prosecute people. What are
Okay,
you talking about?
you said that America was the only one that has prosecuted American
In
military troops.
numbers, yes. In numbers, yes.
That's not how the word only works.
Okay, you're pick and choosing which word you're gonna
No, I'm
choose. What you're
literally
doing.
just taking
So
the
look,
sentence that you
I'll
said,
go back. I'll
judging
go
if it's
back on the
correct and saying
only.
it's okay, make the
I'll
correct
correct
that's
it.
what I asked you to do. Say the
Right,
correct
right, right.
statement.
I'm wrong. So, but I meant to say that in numbers, the U.S. has definitely got more when it comes to prosecuting people. But let's get out of the
By
U.S. We're talking
comparison
about
to
Israel,
who?
huh? It doesn't matter who we compare it to. It's a fact. There's no
Because we
lies.
have
You
the
can look it up.
largest military in the world.
That's not why. That's not why. We're the
Well,
only.
no, but it
China
does
will never
explain it. What you would
prosecute their
have
men. China will never
China has
prosecute anybody for
prosecuted
doing what
their
they
own
do.
men.
Well, give me an evidence because I've never seen it.
You don't think that the People's Republic? Wait, you don't think that the People's Army has had criminals within it? Absolutely, they have. China has
Well, I'm
made a
sure they have.
show. China has made a show of prosecuting them. I believe that a lot of those prosecutions were corrupt, right? Because the generals were
There you go.
political opponents,
Right.
right? But once again, it means that, Bragg, just because the actual facts still fit your narrative
Look,
doesn't
I'm
mean,
arguing the point.
it doesn't mean that the actual facts that you stated are true.
Well,
There's a
they are
difference
true
between
because
what's not true.
evidence, right? So we prosecute people over evidence. Let's not talk about China. Let's go back to Israel,
Wait,
right?
but you were
So
talking
why
about
is
comparisons, and the comparison you made was not true.
wait? Let's go back to the topic. I think you're afraid to talk about it.
I'm not
So
afraid. I just don't like liars.
no, no, you're doing this liar thing. You're afraid to talk. Let's go back to it. All right. Let's
Wait,
go
I'm
back to
doing
the
this liar thing because you're a liar.
right. Are you gonna call me a liar and kick me off? Is what you're gonna
Well, if you continue to lie, yeah.
do? Look, here's my thing. I will never support people that support the H group. Does that make sense?
So you
I
wouldn't
mean,
support Netanyahu's policy in 2019 to allow Qatari money into the Gaza Strips precisely for maintenance of political control of the H group? So you'd never support Israel?
you're talking about proxy that's a whole different story. That's a whole we
Israel
can't really
supported
go
the
into
H
that.
group in 2019. That's unequivocal.
I wouldn't say support, I would say
I
funding
mean, they
for certain
allowed billions
reasons.
of dollars into the area, specifically to main military
Right,
order
right, right.
within the area under the military regime at
So
that
my
time.
question,
So, how else would you support them except economically, militarily, and politically? You there, brother? Well, I think that was a good way to end. Thank you so much. The girl's back, so he can send a re-request if he wants. Okie dokie, cuties. Keep on sending that like.
Hey, sorry for that.
Hello.
Sorry for that. So the name of the researcher is David Collier. David, and then the last name is Collier. The name of the article is, give me a moment. The name of the article is Exposing the Lie About Palestinian Journalists. And there's also a link to download the entire report in it, where you can see the journalists' Facebook posts previously supporting the age group, showing them working for the age group. And one of the main topics is age group operatives as journalists.
So this is not an independent report. This is a blog post
David
by a
Collier
researcher.
is an independent researcher, a prominent one in the UK.
He posted this is posted on davidcollier.com.
Yeah. Investigative journalist. Exposing
I mean,
extremism.
like
You
the fact
asked
that he
for
called.
a source. I gave you one.
Okay, yeah, it's a bad one. Sorry
It's
to
a
do
bad
this.
one.
If you
Okay.
had given, yeah, no, seriously, if you had given me something that, if he could be published by his,
Could you download the report, please, and look at
yep,
it?
I have it. I have it in front of me.
All right. What do you see?
Yeah, it's a bunch of screenshots of Twitter.
All right. What is on the screenshots?
Well, he's claiming that they're all of the claims that of it, but he's
What,
claiming
no.
basically
What
what
is
he
on the
did.
screenshots?
Sorry, just to be very clear, this is not an independent investigative report.
Yes, it
He
is.
not
It's
wait,
an
like in the
investigation
most
from the UK.
sorry, just to be Vika, in the most literal terms, it is. But I could do the exact same thing, and by no means would it be a reputable source. If because he works at Queen Mary University in London, right? Really easy. If he could get published, right, in the Queen Mary University, that would be cool. And he has gotten published by Queen Mary University. But this report is not. It is published on his personal blog. So I'm going to say, independent report, it's not an independent report, at least one that matters, until it's, I don't know, maybe put through any amount of editorial scrutiny.
All right. Can you agree with me that just by paying somebody, anybody at all, I can get published tomorrow in many, many newspapers? The difference
Not
is
reputable
whether
ones.
Reputable ones as well. Let's face it, money talks. And
Well, it depends how much money you got on you. If you want to buy the reputable ones, that's fine.
I get that you talk fast, but I'd love to finish
no
your
academia
sentence.
matters at all. But what you said is
I love that you talk fast. It's really
Well,
great.
you
But
asked the
can I
question,
finish
I
it?
answered you.
Not without me finishing it first.
You did. You said, "Can you agree that if I paid, I could get published?" That's a question. I answered you. Not
And
reputable.
I answered you back saying that that's incorrect, what you just said.
I didn't ask you a question.
Doesn't mean that what you said, just because you state a fact doesn't mean it's correct. I can
But it
reply
doesn't
to
mean
it.
that you can answer me back.
Sure it does. I thought it was a debate.
You don't
Am I supposed to
answer a
be shut up?
statement.
Sure you do. You can, if it's incorrect. Am I supposed to shut up and just agree with
That's
it?
not what
If you
answer
tell me that I'm a woman and I belong in the kitchen, that's a statement, just an incorrect one. Is it not?
But you don't answer a statement.
Sure you do, especially if it's incorrect and insulting.
It's an interesting
Food for
understanding.
thought.
It
Food
is an
for
interesting.
thought.
It is an interesting understanding of English
Food
grammar
for
to
thought.
suggest
If you
that.
tell a woman via statement that she belongs in the kitchen, it's an irrelevant topic to this conversation,
And
but just in general. If you tell a woman that she's a woman and belongs in the kitchen, it is a statement on your part. It's just an incorrect one and an insulting one. Do you agree? That was a question.
Do I agree
that if you tell a
telling
woman
women-
as a statement that she belongs in the kitchen, that it's an incorrect statement and an insulting one? Do you agree to that?
Yeah, but it's not one that you answer. It's one that you
Sure.
respond to.
What do you do then? Do you take it up and shut up and go to the kitchen? What do you do?
You respond to it.
Exactly, which is what I did. If the
But
statement
that's
is
not to
incorrect, you
answer it.
respond. What do you mean? What kind of response? Would you expect me to punch the guy? I'm not a violent individual. I would respond and say,
You're not
no, I won't.
understanding the point that I'm making. That's fine.
No, I'm not. Maybe make it again.
Okay, so you
In
answer
slower
a
words,
question.
maybe.
If we're having difficulty with my verbiage,
I'm not. I'm just giving you time to think.
Oh, you're just being an a-hole.
No, not always. No, I'm trying to understand how I'm
Okay,
not
then
allowed
maybe
to
just
respond to a statement.
No, Vika. If you don't understand something, genuinely ask.
No, I understand. So back to my point.
No, Vika. Then why did you ask me to repeat?
To give you time to change your mind, like all women have done since the beginning of dawn.
So Vika.
All right, back to it. I get that you're young.
Vika,
Look, I get that you're young. You have time to learn.
We're not going to make comments about my age. You are attempting to make yourself the victim for being a woman when I didn't.
I'm not. I'm making a point that you can reply to a statement, and you should reply.
There we go. You answer.
What don't I want to answer?
So Vika, this is deeply annoying me because I'm a pedantic person.
Oh.
So let me try and explain this really simply to you.
Mm-hmm.
You answer a question.
You reply to a statement as well.
So you don't answer a statement.
You can reply to it. Respond, reply, answer are pretty synonymous in the English language and also in all of the other 3 languages that I speak. So
You
Back
being
to the
wrong in
point
3
at hand.
languages doesn't make you any better, babe.
It makes me slightly less wrong. Anyway, back to the point at hand. If I have enough money, I can get published anywhere. The difference is, do I have the proof and the correctness of my statements? If you download the report that David Collier published, you can see the screenshots of those reporters supporting H group. You stated previously that unaliving reporters in a war is a war crime. But if we have managed to prove that those reporters were H group members, H group supporters, and H group initiators basically helping them, then that's no longer a war crime now, is it?
No.
Why?
Well, okay, so first of all, this thing posted on a guy's blog is actually genuinely meaningless to me. And
To
certainly,
you, doesn't make it meaningless.
yeah, to me.
To you, no problem.
Like, to me, yeah.
I can see that point.
Vika, stop speaking.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not difficult. This thing posted on a guy's blog post doesn't really matter, and certainly doesn't qualify as an independent report published by the United Kingdom, which is your
I
original
did not
claim.
say that. I
Stop
said a
speaking,
researcher.
Vika. Stop
No,
speaking,
I won't.
Vika.
I said a researcher
Okay,
in the
well,
United Kingdom.
it's not that hard to do this.
It's not that hard not to put words in my
Vika,
mouth.
Vika, I let you have your answer. I let you have your response. I need you to stop speaking at some point. Okay. So the point is this report is genuinely meaningless to me. But second of all, he does not even claim, even if we took this report to be true, he does not claim that they are all H group militants. He claims that they have some ties he claims that most of them have some ties to the H group. Okay, that's the claim. So even if we took it at the largest conceivable value, he claims that most of them have some ties to the H group. Having some tie to the military that runs your territory cannot conceivably be the qualifying factor to unalive you. At some point, every single researcher, every single, reporter in that area would have to interact with them in some way, or have some political end under a terrorist regime. So it is not surprising in any way they would have some tie. Okay, so no, having some tie to the regime that forced itself upon your territory, okay, does not make you a militant target. And he does not even claim that they are militants. It would only not be a war crime if they were, number one, not reporters, which is not his claim, or number two, were militants, which is also not his claim. So even if we took his entirely unjustified, or at least unbacked, uncorroborated, no scrutiny claim at face value, it would not justify the unaliving of them.
All right. Can I ask a question now?
Literally everyone does this every single time.
All
Actually,
right.
I'm just going to take this moment to say this. Every time someone is a serial interrupter, and I tell them to stop being a serial interrupter, they let me talk for a while, right? And then I am obviously done speaking, and then they play the victim, saying, well, now can I talk? Obviously I can talk. Obviously you can talk. When I'm done speaking, you can talk. It's really simple.
I'm not a victim.
It's really
I'm okay.
deeply annoying.
I don't feel victimized. You're fine. I'm not a victim. Trust me. All right? So back to the point. You said they had some ties to the H group, which doesn't make them H group militants. How do you define H group militants?
A person with active militant intent or armed to be a militant.
All right. Have you seen the videos of October the 7th?
Yes. Does that make the journalists documented here militants?
Have you seen... Okay, so you've seen the videos of the October the 7th. Have you seen the people who were involved in those horrible acts and massacres?
Not every single one individually.
No one of us did, luckily. Hopefully we
So
still
what's
have
your
our
question? Yeah.
My question is, those people who were in those massacres were mostly all of them civilians with some ties to the H group that went in. They were not militants. Does that make them not T supporters, not T group members?
So if you are armed to be a militant, you are a militant. If you are, invading a territory, you're a militant. If you have arms that would unalive civilians, you're a militant. So you've just bifurcated somehow people who were, acting violently to invade a territory and militants. That's literally the definition of a militant.
All right. So those so-called journalists, if they can't be militants, those are two mutually exclusive concepts?
No, all I'm saying is that the pitiful evidence that you did provide, even if it was true, doesn't prove that they're militants.
To me, it does.
Okay, actually, do you have the report in front of you?
No, I'm on my phone.
Okay. Nowhere, actually, I'm just going to do nowhere does it claim that they are militants. Militant is mentioned, military is mentioned 7 times in here. Militant is mentioned 1 time in here. Nowhere does it claim that they are militants.
All right, let's read the whole thing.
I'm not going to
Hamas.
read, sorry, no, I'm not going to read 150 pages of reports online.
I didn't say to do that.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Okay, so first of all, he states, okay, and let's go back to the point that this is not a journalist.
You want to read his blog post?
Sure, why not?
I don't want to read his blog post. I'm happy to look at his report and look at the conclusions of the report, and nowhere in the report does it claim that all 101 journalists that he, impeaches effectively, are militants.
And yet I state that they are. And this proves that because all of them are age group supporters, right? An age group supporter
Them being
who
a supporter does not mean that they're a militant.
Who was unalived by the IDF is an age group.
No, it's not.
Why do you say that?
Someone supporting something doesn't make them, number 1, part of it, number 2, actively a militant. That's not true.
And when it comes to T group supporters, it does. Have you seen the world laws supporting?
It doesn't, Vika. It just doesn't. So, for example, this is a hypothetical, Vika. If I said I support...
I wish you'd stop saying my name like that.
How do you pronounce it?
Vika.
Vika?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Vika.
Yes.
Vika. If I said, hypothetically, I support the H group, okay, that doesn't give Israel the right to unalive me.
That's true. It gives your government the right to go and arrest you and investigate you for T group supporting. However, the Israeli government...
Yes, it does. I'm still owed due process.
The Israeli government is currently at war. Now, I'm not saying I support everything the Israeli government does because I have my own issues with them as an Israeli citizen.
It means that the thing that you said were wrong.
You are so busy lecturing me about interrupting you, and you keep interrupting me.
Yes.
All right, great. We've come to an agreement on the fact that we both dislike each other.
If you can ask me something that I lie about,
can I ask you an unrelated question for a second? I mean, we have enough viewers. Clearly, they like this conversation, right? You're not going to drop me just because you're getting more viewers. You're not going to drop me.
It has nothing to do with you, Vika.
Of course. I ask you a question? What is your interest in this conflict? You're clearly American living in the USA.
I don't live in the USA.
All right, sorry, my mistake. Clearly not living in the Middle East.
Yeah.
What is your interest in this conflict?
So I actually got this. So first of all, I just want to note this is entirely irrelevant to the discussion, but you did recognize
I said it was an irrelevant question.
I know. So generally, there are 3 levels upon which I'm interested in this. The first is really obvious and should be extraordinarily obvious to everyone. I'm a human with eyes. Oh, and when a genocide is being committed against any person, it's being committed against all people. Okay, so when violence and inhumanity and brutalization are being committed against one peoples, they're being committed against all peoples. I'm a peoples, and I care when people are harming, humanity. And Israel's committing despicable acts against the Palestinians, and they're committing particularly bad, despicable acts within the past few months. So that's the first of all. Second of all, I'm an American. meaning that, you know, my country, with tax dollars that I have a vote in, by representatives that are meant to represent me and my interests, are tacitly and actively, monetarily, politically, and militarily supporting this genocide. So my citizenship in America, unless I speak out, makes me a co-signer of their actions, because they are effectively a Western proxy in the area. Okay, so my identity as an American requires me to call out, just as much as my identity as a human. Third, I have Jewish ancestry. I'm not Jewish, and I would never claim I'm Jewish, but I do have relatively close ties to Jewish family. And I grew up around Jewish communities and, you know, with deep, deep lifelong friendships of Jews. And seeing the Jewish faith perverted to justify the terrors that the IDF are committed is particularly perverse when I have such a deep respect for the Jewish faith. Okay, so I have a strong, deep respect for the Jewish faith. And when they do this, they make my Jewish brothers and sisters in the world, right? My human Jewish brothers and sisters in the world, less safe. Because when someone commits a war crime in your name, you are less safe. So I'd like them to be safer. I'd like the Palestinians to be safer. And I would not like me and my country's name on the bombs that are killing women and children.
All right. I agree that no women and children should be unalived at any point in case or time. I happen to agree with that. First of all, let's not forget the fact that the term genocide was coined after the Holocaust, right? And I personally disagree with it being used in this case, considering the fact that the Palestinian population has grown since 2005 rather than decreased, in which case it would make us very bad at genocide. Just pointing that out. Now, let's say I agree with you. Let's say I do agree with you. I really care about the Palestinian people. What would it take for them to stop being unalived?
What would it take for them to stop being unalived? Well, let's see. They haven't stopped being unalived since 1948. Well, actually, since 1908. There has been consistent and almost consistently increasing terroristic violence against the Palestinians and their property since 1908.
I'm sorry. Palestinians didn't exist in 1908. It's a term that was coined in the 1960s. What are you talking about?
They didn't call them. I'm terming the same peoples that had a different term.
They were termed as Arabs, so you can't term them as something that didn't exist back then. Let's keep it straight.
I'm referencing the Arabs that lived in the area that is known as Palestine.
But in 1908,
the term Palestinians was well existent. The term Palestine, and therefore people who lived in Palestine, was well understood for the past 300 years.
No, the term Plishtim was known from the Old Testament. It's not Palestinian.
It depends which language you're speaking in.
No, there's
Palestine was the name
Palestine.
of the territory under the Ottoman Turks.
No, there's Palestine and then there's Plishtim. And then there's Palestina and then there's Palestine. Two different things that you're confusing, but it's okay. We can move past that.
I mean, British Mandate Palestine was in 1912.
But the term Palestinian and the Palestinian flag and all of the Palestinian propaganda didn't exist until the 1960s, which was done by an American marketing company.
British Mandate, people who lived under British Mandate Palestine were known as Palestinians.
Yes, but they were not the Arab Palestinians, they were the Jewish Palestinians.
That's not true. The Arab Palestinians under British Mandate Palestine termed themselves Palestinians.
No, that's not true. If you had gone to an Arab Palestinian during that time, they would have smacked you in the face because they didn't want to be related to the Jewish Palestinians.
If they got a passport, they had British Mandate Palestine on their passport,
which they hated, and they wanted to get.
Hate it, and it can still term them that, and it still means that the thing, Vika, it means that the thing that you said was wrong.
Wow, God, for God's sakes, can I finish a sentence or a thought, or is that not something you allow to anyone? Is this your MO? Just not let people finish speaking because you speak fast and then you win the argument.
It has nothing to do with my speed, Vika. It means the thing that you said was wrong.
No, it doesn't. The Palestinian movement didn't start until the 1960s, which means that those Palestinian people who you are trying to get the land for or whatever don't have a right to it. That's the end of the deal. Now, back to the Palestinian people. Back to the Palestinian people and their unaliving, which was the original point, right?
Vika, I just want to, I'd like to clear up claims as they're made. You said the term Palestinian did not exist until 1960.
The term Palestinian when it comes to the Arabian Palestinians as we know them today.
Okay, so that means that when you said the term Palestinian didn't exist until 1960.
I misspoke, I apologize, I concede. The term Palestinian as the Palestinians we know today did not exist until the 1960s. Is that better?
That's slightly better.
All right, I'm happy.
The
Now,
British, what did the British refer to as the Arabs? What did the British refer to the Arabs under British Mandate Palestine as?
probably donkeys. Moving on.
I don't want to move on because you've corrected me in a way that's just not correct. Under British
I've
Mandate
corrected you in a
Palestine.
way that's not correct.
Yes, that means you've tried to correct me and you are wrong. And
All
I am
right, great.
correct. So I said
amazing. All right, so I can see the point. It was called Palestine. Doesn't mean that Palestinian movement existed then. It
I just think
existed from the
facts matter.
1960s.
I don't know
Facts
why you're
matter. I
exasperated.
agree. Who is currently in charge of the Palestinian people in Gaza?
Hamas.
Hamas. All right, great. So we agree that those people are in charge, therefore they are in charge of their citizens. Agreed?
What does it mean to be in charge of their citizens?
They are in charge of making sure that they are safe, provided for, well fed, whatever they can do to make sure that their citizens are safe. They're not in charge of that?
I think all humans are in charge of making sure everyone's safe.
But we're talking about a government. We're talking about not a government, a governing body of an area.
Well, actually, Israel has obligations to keep the Gazans safe as Israel's an occupying power
Israel,
according to international
Israel
law.
has pulled out of Gaza in 2005 completely. Except a fence around its borders, there is no presence of Israeli military in Gaza unless there is a war. You can check that. I am 100% certain of that. You know why? Because I live here. You can go ahead and check that. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, there have been IDF troops on. So first of all, there has been a war.
Of course, I said unless there has been a war. I did say that.
Well, there's been a war since 2012.
There has not been an ongoing war with Israeli troops inside Gaza. Israeli troops have been outside protecting the border. That's it.
So they've been on the Rafah crossing since 2012.
Which is the border.
But they're on the Gazan side of the border.
Doesn't matter. It's a border.
That means that they're within
They've
Gaza.
been on the no-go zone. Do you know what the no-go zone? The no-go zone is a zone that Israelis and Gazans are not allowed to enter to keep the peace and to try to keep the peace anyway.
But that's a territory of Gaza.
Oh, God. Yes, it is. So
they've been within Gaza.
Why are you trying to deflect? My point is.
So I'm literally. So Vika, I know the thing is.
Wow, I understand why people are frustrated now.
Well, no, but Vika, you've actually steamrolled for the past 2 minutes. So I'm just trying to make a point, which is you made a claim and that claim was wrong. Me correcting that claim is not okay. So just to be very clear, are you saying that the IDF had no presence anywhere within the territory of Gaza since 2005? Is that your claim?
I didn't say that. I said Israel pulled out of Gaza, meaning we are no longer the governing body of it, meaning we are not in charge of their citizens, which was the claim that you made originally.
No, I know. So the thing is,
you did say that.
You make a claim, and then you make facts underlying it. Okay. And me questioning some of these facts is not me diverting from your claim. The facts
you
are
said that Israel is in charge of the Gazan citizens. Why?
Actually, verbatim, what did I say?
I don't remember, but you said something along those lines, but I don't listen to every word you say and remember it and recall it perfectly. I do know that you said
that as an occupying
I asked you if the age group are in charge of the Gazan citizens. You said no, the whole world is. And I asked you, is a governing body in charge of the area that they govern? And you said, no, Israel is actually in charge of them because they have been in power over it. And I said that Israel pulled out in 2005. So they are not in charge of the Gazan citizens.
Other than just them being pulled out in 2005.
Because you kept questioning and interrupting me. Can I say something?
No, you've said
if age group is in charge.
Vika. I'm going to have to interrupt if you literally never let me respond to a thing. And you asked me to tell you what I said, and then you didn't let me tell you what I said. Do you see how that also is frustrating?
I muted to let you speak.
I just want human to human. Do you see how that is also frustrating?
I do agree. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. What I said was that as an occupying power, Israel also has obligation to the Gazan citizens. That's all I said. As an occupying power, Hamas does as well. And as humans and as an international community, we also have obligations to the Gazan citizens. So all three of those are true. Then, just to be very clear, then you made a series of other claims that you're now pretending you didn't make, Vika, and that really annoys me. You said that the IDF did not enter Gazan territory unless in war. That's not true. They've had a consistent presence on the Rafah crossing since 2012. You're just wrong. They've also entered in a series of non-war expeditions, right? Operation Cast Lead was a non-war expedition. So nothing about what you said was true.
Expedition? Did you live here during Operation Cast Lead? I'm sorry, I'm being emotional. I was 14 at the time, and they almost knocked down my house. Let's move on from that subject before I completely implode. Back to the object at hand. If the age group are in charge and they are governing their people, right? They are in charge of their safety. And let's say they knew, of course, they knew that Israel would respond following the October 7th. Why did they not put as many women and children as they could into the tunnels that they built, which are effectively bomb shelters?
Are you asking me why didn't the terrorist group act better? I don't know. I don't support them.
I'm asking you, as a governing body, why they didn't protect their civilians.
Because I don't think they're good people.
So, but you do think it is Israel's responsibility to take care of their civilians?
No, I'm just stating that as a matter of international fact, Israel does have an obligation to ensure the livelihood and maintenance of even actual normal economic activity within Gaza. Do you doubt that?
Yes, I do doubt that. Why is Israel in charge of a different territory? Why is America, for example, in charge of a different territory? And by the way, I do agree with your statement that America should pull out funding from the IDF because then we wouldn't have to listen to them all the time.
Oh, do you think we should end our free trade agreement with you?
I didn't say free trade agreement. I said the funding.
That's why it was a question.
No, I don't think so. Because everybody benefits from free trade.
Do you think we should continue our diplomatic support of you by strong-arming the UAE, Egypt, Sudan, and Morocco into recognizing your existence?
The UAE, Egypt, and Morocco have all come into peaceful agreements with us.
And
not by America mediating, but not strong-arming.
What did America give? What did America give Morocco, for example, to recognize your existence?
You're just pushing my point that money works, and if I were to make a lot of money,
do you know what we gave them?
Why don't you tell me?
You don't know.
Why don't you tell me?
This is middle school level. I just want to know what you know.
Middle school? I don't go to the same middle school as you go to in the US. We don't learn about the US 100% of the time.
No, I said it's middle school level of maturity.
Middle school level? Wow. Okay, listen. I tried not to offend
what you don't know.
I asked you to tell me.
You didn't. You said, why don't you tell me?
So why don't you?
Do you not? I just want to. Do you not know? Are you being?
No, I don't. I don't care.
Cool. Perfect. Because you made a claim, right? You said that America didn't strong arm, for example, South Sudan into recognizing them. Didn't strong arm Egypt or the UAE or Morocco into recognizing them. Were you direct? Absolutely, we did. We held our recognition of the Western Sahara, control of Morocco, on contingency of them recognizing Israel. That's absolutely strong-arming. We held billions of dollars in economic aid on hand to both Egypt and to Morocco to get the Abraham Accords done. So actually, we did force the Abraham Accords through.
Oh, do you know about the Abraham Accords? Do you know
Clearly you don't. That's what I'm citing.
I don't know about the Abraham Accords. The reason for this war is the Cold War between the US and Russia that happened because of the Abraham Accords. What are you talking about?
Explain to me your understanding of the Abraham Accords.
All right. The Abraham Accords are meant to create a new power line using the Arabic countries and Israel into Europe. A new gas power, right? That will effectively nullify Putin's Druzhba line that goes into Europe.
That was one part of the Abraham Accords. What did the Abraham Accords? There was a few major accomplishments of the Abraham Accords. What countries recognized Israel under the Abraham Accords?
I know that. It's the UAE, South Sudan. We both know this.
Yes, but I'm literally telling you why they did it, why we got the Abraham Accords through. It was part of the Abraham Accords was recognizing Western Sahara.
And the reason for that is the USA's desire to nullify Putin's control of Europe through the gas line.
Exactly. So we strong-armed Morocco into recognizing you because of our diplomatic support due to diplomatic interests
For your
in
own
Israel.
interest in
Yeah, I
in
don't
beating
doubt.
Russia
Wait,
in the Cold War.
I know, and I think the imperialist powers, of America are disgusting. That's why I don't think we should continue to imperially support Israel. But Israel subsists off of American support. Israel would not live, quite frankly, without the direct military, intelligence, economic, and diplomatic support of Israel wouldn't live without Americans' support.
With our GDP, we definitely will, but not the point.
I mean, 25% of your GDP comes from America.
And we would
If we
survive
didn't have
without
a,
it. That
if we
means
didn't
that
have a free trade
75
agreement,
doesn't.
So if we ended our free trade agreement with you, right, we would wipe out 25% of your GDP.
Did you
Right.
were you about to say population?
Yeah, it was a verb mistake.
Some
Your
mistake.
GDP. Because this really your game?
I'm not playing any games. I just don't like it when people threaten my people. That's it. But let's move on.
Threaten your people. It was obviously a stutter.
Okay.
It's a silly game, and it diminishes when people actually do make disgusting, threats against your population. So, yeah, it would wipe out 25% of your GDP, right? Almost all of your military intelligence, right? Almost all of it. It would cripple your military because a huge
How do you
amount of this,
figure it would end all of our military intelligence?
because
Please
you
explain.
you only have military integrations through American allies.
Wow, that's an interesting claim. How do you figure
Name
that?
Name a single intelligence ally that you have that America doesn't.
I didn't say that we have allies that you guys don't. That doesn't mean that we got them through you somehow.
Okay,
Please prove
name
that.
one. Name
It's
one.
a statement you made.
Yeah, I've proven it. The UK,
By what?
France, the UK, France,
The
Australia.
UK recognized our right to exist before the US ever did.
Yeah, but
The
they didn't have
Balfour
an
Declaration.
intelligence into. Oh, they actually withdrew their recognition, but it's neither here nor there. Part of the G7, the G5.
Okay,
The
listen,
G5
Will, it's
integration
been
is only because
lovely.
of.
Listen, I'm so sorry to cut this off. No, it's been lovely. It's 12 a.m. here and I have to go to work in the morning. I do hope you rethink what you said about we constantly while still judging your government. Maybe get a bit more patriotic. Anyway, I have to go. It's been lovely. I may come back. I like the mental head scratching. Have a lovely evening.
Have the evening you deserve. Well, anyway, much love to all of you. Thank you so much. We have 2,300 people on here. I have not had this big of a live in maybe 3 years. I love you all. I love you deeply, and I much, 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 much appreciate your support, your likes, your follows, etc. Do like it up. We almost hit 300K. That's incredible. And honestly, we're going to get more Zionists on here. We're going to get more pro-Israelis on here to discuss. This is the most important topic that I have talked about probably, and it brings me so much joy that a lot of people can have eyes and ears on it. So thank you so much. Yeah, okay. Love you all. We're going to get some other people on here. And what I will say, if you want to support me directly, the best way to do that is through my Cash App. If you want to get more eyes and ears on this issue, sending gifts on here does that. But also sharing, liking, and then send money directly to Palestinian charities. That's the best and highest quality thing you can do. Very cool, guys. Okay. Love you all. Okay. Just wanted to send that information out. Also, do follow my YouTube. My follow is in my guest request up here. Hello.
Wait, why me? Why do you invite me?
What do you mean? Because you were at the top of my list, baby.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for the gift, guys. Thank you so much. Love you all.
Hello.
Hello.
I want just to say, free Gaza from Hamas.
Okay, if that's all you
Okay.
want to say, very cool. Bye. Come up to debate. If you disagree with me, send a guest request. And if you will, my YouTube videos be? I keep saying they will be. Will they? I love you all. Hello.
Nice. I love it. Nice. Hello.
Hi. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
About the name Palestina.
Okay.
If I come to your country, give you name. This is your name?
Depends.
Depends. What depends?
What's the name of South Africa?
No, if I come to your country and give you name.
Who gave
You
South
have
Africa their
now
name?
country. You have now country. I come to your country, kill all people, take the country and give you name. Like
Well,
Palestine.
I mean,
This
just
is
on a
really
point of
going to be
fact,
your name?
most names in the world are from colonial projects. The
Yeah,
name
that's right. So
Congo,
it's
the
not
name
your
Congo is
real
from,
name.
sorry, the name Congo is from a colonial construct. That's just how names
So
work.
is the
It
real
doesn't
name?
mean that it
This
doesn't
is
mean that it's a good way to have a naming system. I'm just saying that that is in fact what the naming system is.
Oh my God. Okay, you don't answer. Are you a smart kid? You don't answer the question. Okay, so the name is given Palestina, yes? This is
By
the
who?
name? By British Roma. This is what you say.
No, it
Mandate,
wasn't.
no? Who
The
give
name
the
Palestine. The name Palestine is an Anglicization of the name Palestine, right? But that's
who
a
gives the name?
translation. That's a translation issue.
Who
The name
of what?
of like an Ottoman term for the answer, right, would be Palestine.
Palestine, you sure? P?
Well, it was an A.
Letter P.
It was, well, it depends
P.
how it's transliterated.
That depends. Everything depends on you. You don't go
Yes,
do the
things
fact,
depend. It depends how it's
So if
transliterated. There are multiple ways that
yes,
it's been transliterated.
yes, but you have to know the correct answer. You cannot go.
But there's no
Everything is
correct
depends.
way to transliterate something
No
other than
correct.
that which is useful.
Okay. So the real name is Palestina. P. It starts with P, like you see in passport in the money. Yes. In the money,
Once
it's with
again,
Palestina. Yes.
the money was Palestinian under the Ottomans.
Yeah. So if Arabic can pronounce letter P, if they try, it's gonna be B. So this is the name that they give for them.
Well, so this is why I said that it depends how it's transliterated. I said that Palestine is a translation, right, and an Anglicization of the name Philistine, right, or Palestine,
Philistine.
depending on how it's
Palestine.
pronounced.
Yes. Pronounce.
But that doesn't mean that it's a
Palestine, P.
correct. Sorry, that doesn't mean that it's a correct transliteration. And more importantly, it doesn't mean that the transliteration is giving them a new name. Okay?
Yes,
It
because
means
they
that it's
come.
translating their previous name.
I know, because they come. British
So
Roma come to King Judah. You know King Judah.
So it means that the British didn't give them their name. The
Yes,
British
British come and
transliterated
give.
a name.
I have name.
Transliterated their name.
Name. I live in my country. I have name. King of Judah.
I'm not going to have a linguistics discussion. At least not with someone that doesn't understand linguistics. That's fine. Anyway, bye. Okay, let's let this guy. Come up here if you want to have a debate. Don't come up here if you can't have a debate. Don't send a guest request if you don't disagree. Send a guest request if you do disagree. Hello, what'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
Hey, Will, how are you?
Doing well. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
Ending the funding, I think that's the title. I guess we disagree on a lot of things, but you can choose. What do you want to
Yeah,
talk
so do you
about?
believe that America should continue funding Israel?
Basically, I'm an Israeli, so I think my natural response will be yes.
Okay, why?
Yeah, my natural response, I think it's obvious, but which countries do the US fund, do you know?
We fund a huge series of countries through a series of different ways.
And do you know like the rank, like who you fund the most?
It depends how you count it. So if you count free trade agreements, right, and long-term funding, I believe probably the UK has been the largest beneficiary of a trade agreement with America and a direct military integration with America. Australia gets millions and millions of dollars worth of intelligence from America through being part of the G5, right? So does Canada. We give a preferential trade agreement to Canada by comparison to Mexico. That's billions of dollars a year. Mexico also gets a preferential trade agreement by comparison to Western Europe. That's billions of dollars a year. So once again, it depends how you count it.
And do you think they should stop doing so?
Depends which country you're talking about.
So what are the parameters to decide which country should be funded and which not? If it benefits the US, or is the country
I think we
evil?
generally shouldn't fund genocide.
Okay. And what about the Arab countries, dictatorships, or generally?
Which
Fund
country
them?
specifically?
I don't know, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I guess we
I
know
think
the
we should
list.
end. I think we should have ended our diplomatic relations with Saudi Arabia following 9/11.
So, and do you know what would be the consequences of that?
Yeah, horrendous consequences. At the very least, we should have leveraged our diplomatic powers over Saudi Arabia because we have effectively a unilateral military control over them at that time, right? To pressure them to prosecute those that were actively involved in it. The difficulty is that it's pretty likely that the Saudi government had some hand at certain points. So
Yeah, but aren't you like oversimplifying it and like?
I'm not. You're asking overly simplified questions, so I'm answering in the most nuanced possible, relevant way.
Yeah, my question is, there is a possibility that if the US stop doing what the US is doing, then things will go way worse for you, for the US specifically. And then the question
Possible.
is like,
But I don't
what?
think that our self-interests justify genocide.
So basically, you're just like, you don't mind if your country will fall for justice. I think that's the
I don't
change.
think ending the support of Israel will cause the end of America.
Yeah, but I think you need to look at the bigger picture. It's like ending funding for anyone who is not like goes through exactly our current standards,
But
which are
that's
things
not
that
really my
change.
claim, actually. So I want to end funding so as to have a law-abiding, non-criminal nation in that area.
Yeah,
I'm
but
happy for American funding to go towards a non-criminal nation in that area, right? It just doesn't look like Israel. So
yeah,
I actually think it's the best thing America could conceivably do, even its own self-interest, to promote, I don't know, justice and legality in its proxy territories.
Yeah,
because then we stop. Russia has one less rhetorical point to use this against us because we aren't committing genocide. China doesn't have another rhetorical point to use when they're talking to their people about how horrendous America is. If we continue to do horrendous things, popular support against us dwindles.
if you think that China, Russia will make any difference depending on your behavior, I think you don't understand how these countries will act. You know, there are global powers, and the one who is not the global power wishes to be one, and it's always like one day it might change, but it's like an active state of war. You always have an active state of war between countries because humans are like that, unfortunately. So it's a bit naive to think that if you just behave, then your enemies, like Russia, that just invade countries randomly for self-interest, will say, okay, they are not funding the Israel, so we don't have any claim to hate America. No, that's not the...
That wasn't my claim in any way, shape, or form. Now you're oversimplifying to the point of lying, which makes it worse.
Lying? I'm not lying.
I never said that they would stop saying bad things about us. I said they would have one less bad thing to actually say about us.
Yeah, I didn't say they would. So I'm saying it won't have any effect. That's what my claim was, that even if you stop completely, it won't change anything.
Okay, but you said that I said that they would, right?
So
say, America's all fine. That's not what I said. That's what I said was a lie because it was something that wasn't true.
No, it wasn't a lie.
The point is
but
generally, people said this exact same thing about Africa when decolonization of Africa happened. Just to be really clear, right? When the French were pulling out of Algeria, people argued that the Russians would just come in and take Algeria. And actually, they kind of did, but then the Algerians gained autonomy, a lot more autonomy. We could go through a huge amount of examples, right? Actually, the Algerian freedom fighters were in part funded by Russia. So were the Afghanistan freedom fighters, but yet they still now have more autonomy as a self-ruling peoples in Algeria than they did prior under French occupation. Okay, so the thing about this is proxy wars have scales, and we can start bringing, the best thing to do is to have the autonomous people fight against all imperialist powers over them. And that starts with not actively harming and economically disenfranchising one of the groups of autonomous peoples. Those would be the Palestinian peoples. So if you're genuinely anti-imperialism, work to ending it. The end of
No,
imperialism
but
looks like autonomous
just
for
let me stop you. Just I think one thing that you're getting wrong is they're not funding Israel against the Palestinian people. They're funding Israel and against other powers in the area. The Palestinian people, like the funding actually might in some way help Israel not do whatever the current leadership wants to do because they depended on America, which has higher standard in some of the governments. So I don't think it's a correct way to look at it.
I mean, a shit ton of those bombs are American made. So
Yeah,
it's
but
difficult to
that's
say
not
that
what
we're
I
not
said.
helping them do what they do.
No, that's
It
not
would be
what
pretty
I
hard
said.
for them to source bombs without America and its allies.
No, Israel could. What I'm saying is that you said America is funding Israel against the Palestinians, and that is not correct. Because if
How many Russians have died in this conflict?
Russians,
Yeah.
Israeli Russians,
How many Russians have died in this conflict?
a lot, like tens.
Who?
Just there are many Israeli Russian civilians.
Okay, how many Iranians have died in this conflict?
Not much, but you know that.
Okay, how many Palestinians have died in this conflict?
Who is funding Hamas and Hezbollah and Syria, and who is attacking the other fronts? Like this is Iranian money, so
I don't disagree that
so
it is a Cold War with Iran.
yeah, but what you
But the
said is that
Palestinians and the Israelis are in the middle of it.
yeah,
So it is a fight of Israel against Palestinians.
yeah, but your claim was that if the US stopped funding Israel, then it will be a fair fight, and that's
No, I didn't.
incorrect.
No, it wasn't.
You said they're only helping Israel against the Palestinians, but actually, probably the Iranians are doing more harm to the Palestinians than the US in that point.
I don't doubt that. I think we should end Iranian and Russian imperialism into the Palestinian area. I agree, actually.
But nobody talks about it.
Well, I believe that America, right, ending their acceptance of the despicable actions of Israel is the start to that. Because
Or maybe
currently
it's the
there is
end.
no way for Israel to govern as a state entity the Palestinian people. It just cannot happen. The fundamental foundation of the state of Israel is opposed to the Palestinian people having any occupancy within it.
This is not
And so
correct.
that state entity cannot account for all of the indigenous people in that area. And the only way to get all imperialism out of the area is to empower the indigenous people and arm the indigenous people.
Yeah,
And as long as we have a state that is fundamentally opposed to the indigenous people existing, no matter if they're aligned with one imperialist power or the other, that cannot happen. So we need a fundamental change to what power is within that area so that we can empower the indigenous people.
Yeah, I think your goals are good, but your analysis is incorrect about what will happen. And I think you're missing just a few details about it, and that's why it won't work. Like your plan is, I think you're a good person. Like your plan is like only for a good cause, but I think if the funding stops, let's say somebody listens to you tomorrow, I think terrible things would happen. Like horrible things would happen, not only for
You don't
Israel.
ask me what I would want to do after the funding stops.
Okay, so
I'd say we say, hey, look, your entire economy crashed and your military's crippled. That's crazy. What if you stopped committing a genocide and then maybe we'll give some of the funding back.
Yeah, but maybe
Maybe
once
we'll
the
do
funding
that.
stops.
That's what I'm suggesting. I'm not an idiot. I don't think we should just stop sending any money anywhere, right? What I'm saying is that America has influence over its proxies, okay?
It won't
And we
work.
should use that influence. You
I
don't
think
think that if we crash the whole entire Israeli economy, they'll stop?
no, because I think you're getting two things wrong. Okay, let me point them out, and then I'll listen to your reply. First of all, by funding Israel, America has leverage on Israel. By when they don't fund Israel, they can't tell them what to do. When they
I
stop,
entirely disagree, actually.
okay, if they stop funding them, what will happen immediately is a regional war, and Hezbollah and Iran and Syria will just attack, and so your plan won't work to stop the genocide. This war will cost much more lives of all of the area, including the Palestinians. And as you see, each conflict just makes it worse for the Palestinians. So I think personally, there are only two options in this. Either both sides keep fighting and trying to conquer the whole land forever, and right now Israel is the strongest, so it's not a very good idea. Although I think most Palestinians do support this option right now. And the second one is two-state solution.
I mean, the current Israeli government has said that a two-state solution is out of the question.
Yeah,
You're
but do you know? Are you aware that Israel is a democratic country, and the current government is not forever, just
no,
phase,
I'm aware.
a long phase,
but
relatively.
Unfortunately, the two-state solutions that they've offered have been in violation of international law. But let's just try.
No, that's not correct.
That is true, actually.
The two-state solution is not a violation of international law, because if
the two-state solutions
sides,
that Israel have offered have been in violations of international law.
No, it's just if the two-state solution means that both parties decide that they want to do it together, and it's agreed on both of them, and it's just
no. I'm
peace,
just referencing the two-state solutions that Israel has offered in the past.
Which one? There were plenty.
Well, so the Oslo Accords, a form of two-state solution, violation of international law. What came out of the Camp David Accords, the ones that Israel denied, were the ones in violation in following international law, and the ones that Israel offered in the past under the Camp David Accords were in violation of international law.
What does it mean?
To be in violation of international law?
In the terms of a peace agreement.
Well, so if you make an offer that maintains an occupation and want that occupation to be maintained, you're violating international law.
And if it's
and their offers maintained occupation.
Yeah, but it's a phase. Are you aware of that? Like, in the first phase
not under
is
the
to
Israeli
get
offer.
their own government. Yeah, you need to understand what's going on in Israel, okay? It's a circle of violence, okay? Each side sees the violence that was done to him, and it's just a bunch of kids who grew up, Palestinians grew up, their relatives being unalived and stuff, and Israelis grew up to terror attacks that bombs. I as a kid, just was afraid of going on buses and restaurants because they would blow up randomly. So the scale is different, of course. Everybody always give up the numbers, but the numbers is just a reflection of
I'm just
the
talking
power,
very
not of the
strictly about
intention.
international law.
What is international law? Like, you want, there's like a possible, the Oslo Accords were a possible peace agreements. They took both sides
and
to
they
be less
maintained
extreme.
a situation that was in violation of international law. And
Yeah,
also,
but
Israel hasn't followed the Oslo Accords.
No. So let me get to that. But
So you're going to claim, one second, I just want to be very clear. I'm aware the Oslo Accords were an interim agreement. Okay? But the goal expressed at the end, even if it had been reached, would have maintained an occupation of a portion of the Palestinian land that is in violation of international law. Okay? So the land that Israel still would have retained following successful completion of the Oslo Accords would still be an illegal occupation of Palestinian lands.
When I'm talking about the second phase, when I'm talking about the second phase, I'm not talking about the second phase of the Oslo Accord. I'm talking about the two countries, people trying to live together. And when you do that, even if you say, let's not do it because of a few land, international law, blah 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 blah, what you're doing is just give more power to the radicals to keep doing the other thing, the war. There are only two options: war
I'm
or
not.
peace.
So I'm. Are you saying that me saying that something's illegal is giving more power to terrorists? Is that your claim?
I don't understand what it means illegal. Like if the Palestinians
You don't
accept
understand
that,
what international law is.
no, there's no such thing.
So Israel didn't sign on to the UN, accords that recognized both the existence, validity, and jurisdiction of international law and the ICJ. They didn't sign those
Let me ask
treaties?
you. Let me ask you. Does
No,
Israel
answer my
follow?
question first. Did Israel sign those treaties?
You can answer, and I believe you.
Okay, so if they did, do you believe Israel that international law exists?
Yeah. So my question is, and try to understand what I'm saying. Is Israel following international law?
No.
Okay. Is Russia following international law?
No.
Is the US following international law?
Is there a single person on this planet that has never broken a law?
Yeah, but so the US,
Point me
but
to, please introduce them to me.
so why do you use it as like a claim? Like
Wait, but please
if to
introduce me to the person that has never broken a law.
no, that's just
Introduce
deflecting.
me to a person who has always rode their bike with a helmet in the UK.
Okay, so
Introduce
why is
me
the
to a
Oslo
person even
Accords?
that has never shoplifted.
Okay, great. So you've
Introduce me
proven
to a
my
person
point.
that has never pirated. Laws matter.
Yeah, amazing. So you prove my point.
Just because a lot of people break laws doesn't mean that laws don't matter.
You just prove my point that saying international law is the reason the Oslo Accords is bad is not.
I never said the
it's not a
Oslo
good
Accords
reason.
were bad.
You said when I said the Oslo Accords were a chance, you said but they broke international law. So yes.
Yeah. So I said they broke international law, which is correct. I said a true statement.
Yeah, but the context was that you said they are not good because of that. And I think.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I was trying to claim that.
But did I say that?
Yeah.
I did say that the Oslo Accords are bad.
Like I claim they are good, and then you said, wait, no, they are breaking international law. So that's what I
I
understand
said yes,
from that.
but they are breaking international law. I never said that.
Like you
You
said they're
assumed
not.
that.
No.
You ever heard what assumptions do to you know what? You ever heard what assumptions do?
Yeah, but anyway, I think my point was you got my point, okay? And I also forgot what we were talking about because we got to that sub discussion of the Oslo Accords. Anyway, all I'm saying, if you stop funding, it would be worse. And I think what you think your plan is, it probably won't work. I don't have a plan, okay? I know it's very
then
complex.
don't speak. If you don't have a plan, leave.
I have opinions but I
If
don't
you have
think
opinions
either
with
you.
no solutions, no one cares.
I have solutions which are less immediate. So like stopping the funding. I think you want to hear what I think can solve this situation.
Sure. What can America do to stop this situation? Because I'm an American.
So anyone can do, but the basic thing that as an Israeli who lives here, the basic thing that needs to be solved is hate. Okay, and no other thing you'll do. You can stop funding, you can give funding, you can whatever you do. Just you have people that sincerely hate each other and in a way that they each sides look at the other side as inhumane at some point. And this is, it's not people, I go into a lot of lives and everybody says, the Israelis, they're a psychopath, they have 50 IQ, oh, they're evil. No, people don't understand that any human in that situation will probably act
So
the same.
your answer is just everyone chill out.
No, people don't chill out.
Everyone just like hate each other less. Like, why didn't we think about that before?
Yeah,
Hey
eventually.
guys, why don't I go to the UN and just ask everyone to stop hating each other? Let's have a vibe. Let's have a vibe sesh actually. Let's get the Pakistanis and Indians on this ish. Let's get everyone on it.
If
Let's
it
get
was
everyone
that
on it.
simple,
Let's get America and Mexico on it. Let's get the French and the British on it. They can all chill out. Like, bro, what? I
yeah.
agree, but like,
What? How can you do it? That's ask me instead of mocking me.
but it's just not a plan in the context of this discussion. I offered an actual policy that one could interact right now that will physically save lives. Because you know what doesn't kill? Me hating you. You know what does? American rockets.
Yeah, but you know,
It's difficult for
just
me to unalive you if you have a rocket. And it's
first of
really
all,
easy for me to unalive you if I have a rocket. So
after you mocked me, though, let me just maybe suggest some course of actions that people could do. Okay, so basically, I think when you take two people, take an Israeli and a Palestinian, and put them in a room, they won't be as extreme as they are in Twitter, in Facebook. It's not the same. It same goes for internal struggles like left wing, right wing, and you can see that a lot of the blame recently is also on things like social media and just people detaching, going to their own bubbles. So I think what you could do, which will actually change things, it won't solve it, but it will change something, is if you host a few lives that try to bring the two people from both sides to understand each other. So if you take a Palestinian and you gain him the empathy back to Israelis, civilians, and you take an Israeli and you manage to make him gain empathy back to the Palestinian people, and you made something. And also, if people see it on the live, it will make something. So basically, what you
okay,
have
let me
is
stop you right there. If you put me in a room with someone that advocated the starvation of my people, if you put me in a room with someone that called my people dogs or said that bombing the Gaza Strip, my home for 9 generations, for example, with a nuke was acceptable, I don't think peace would come out of that room. I don't think empathy would come out of that room.
yeah, but you know, you also buy the propaganda because, like, do you
I
know?
mean,
Do
no,
you have
not.
the exact?
It's what the IDF has said.
No, do you have the
It's what
exact
Israel
quote?
has said.
Bring the
Literally
exact
those
quote.
exact words.
Yeah, I know, because it was our minister and our left wing were citing him that he said we should nuke them, and then everybody
But the
started
thing
citing
is
that.
those people don't deserve, like, if you say that nuking the Gaza Strip is acceptable, you don't deserve empathy.
Yeah, but he didn't say that. So
He
I'm
said
left with.
nukes were on the table.
No, I could like. Are you talking about the minister that said it?
I'm talking about the UN ambassador that said that in the UN, yeah. And then later got deposed, yeah.
It was an ambassador, but basically, so I saw this quote and I was like, oh my god, this minister, like this government is stupid for saying that. But then I took the full quote, and the full quote was a reporter that asked him, blah 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 blah, and so we should just nuke the Gazans, and then the minister says that's one way, but another way would be blah blah
Still
blah blah blah.
unacceptable.
No, but when you hear it, you understand that it was like deflecting that. Yeah, okay, you can nuke them, but what you should do is B. So that's just propaganda, and it's funny because it came from the Israeli against the Israelis, but you also
Still
fell for it.
unacceptable.
No, it's not. You just take you what you did by saying that is taking something a person that did not mean he wants
And
to
you
nuke.
put it in context and it's still unacceptable.
But no, it's not, because you'd make the Palestinian think that this minister wants to nuke them, and it doesn't. Because if you hear the exact quote, you know it doesn't believe that's something you should do. So and it happens
But
on like
suggesting it's an option in any way, shape, or form is still unacceptable.
no, I didn't suggest it.
Okay, well, we disagree about the verbiage that you just said. I mean, if you don't hear the words you're saying, that's fine. But it sounds like you're on the way out. I'll try and make room for other people. Slay the day. Bye. Okay. Should I make dinner? Give me 2 seconds. I love you all. This guy talk his talk.
Okay.
If you want to say something to live, you're free to. I need to go run and check something.
Hey guys, just an update on the G-side that is going on in Gaza. Israel is still running and attacking and targeting civilians on every single possible way. Israel is still targeting Palestinian. Israel is still targeting the Palestinian infrastructure, the journalists, the doctors, and all of that. I request and I ask every person on this live, every person that could hear me again, anywhere you hear anybody deflecting any conversation about what is going on, what is happening in Palestine at this time in these lives, just redirect everything about what is happening in Gaza right now. Redirect all the conversations toward the G side. Let's all work together to stop this G side that is going on across Gaza Strip from the north to the south. There are hundreds of thousands of people being displaced, hundreds of thousands of homes being destroyed. Almost 95% of the population of Gaza being displaced, being homeless. There are no place where they can stay. There are women that are pregnant that cannot have any possibility of sanitary or giving birth to their children in a safe nature, in a safe place, in a safe hospital. There are no clean water, no enough food, no tents for the displaced people to live in and to talk about. So please, I urge you, everybody, every single person on this live, to go and talk about whatever is happening in these places, whatever is happening in these lives. Please talk, tell people to redirect their conversations about the G side going on in Gaza. Go to all the lives, talk about this. Everywhere you see any Zayo that is trying to deflect, that is trying to attract attention of the people from the fact there is a G-side happening in Gaza, let them know. Remind them that the G-side is still going on. Remind them that whatever is happening is still happening. Remind them that apartheid is a thing. Apartheid in Palestine is something that is going on all the time. Please remind everybody, every single person that you can see, that are talking about it and ignoring it. Tell them it is going on, it's happening. Tell them that the water is not distributed fairly. Tell them that everything they're trying to ignore by the Israeli occupation, done by the Israeli settlers, done by the Israeli terror groups across the West Bank, and the official Israeli terror group that is called the IDF is still an atrocity. Tell everybody of them, every one of them, that they should stop. I'm sorry I came into your live, man. Have a great time. Bye-bye.
No problem, you too. Thank you so much. Matter on the dance floor, but you better not kill the groove. Hey, hey, matter on the dance floor. Y'all have to realize I'm literally just like in my room alone. But anyway, hello. I cannot see or hear you. I think you've gone off the app. Are you there, Richard?
Hello?
Hi. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
Hi,
Oh,
yeah.
you've got an
So,
echo.
oh, sorry. Let me fix that. Is it gone?
Let's see.
Is it gone?
Yeah, it sounds gone. Yeah, gorgeous.
How are you doing today?
Doing well. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
Yeah, so I, found a lot of the language you were using and some of the points you were making about Israel to be rather incorrect. And I'll start off by talking about you claiming that there's a genocide going on in Israel. And so, are you aware of what the definition of genocide is?
Yeah.
What is
I've
it?
cited it truly so many times.
Okay. Well, I'm going to repeat it one more time. So, genocide means the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. And
where'd you get that definition? Because that's not the definition that
I got
Israel
it
has signed on
from
to.
the Oxford Dictionary.
Okay, so I'm going to use the international law one because that's the one I'm referencing and that's the one that I'm holding Israel to account to because that's what it's accountable to.
So you want
It's pretty close.
You want okay? So
it's Article 2 of the Convention.
You want to read it to
describes
me?
Genocide. That's what I'm doing.
All right, yeah, go for it.
Article 2 of the Convention describes genocide as a crime committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group in whole or in part. To get more specific, we can read off the actus reus and mens rea of it. So the crime committed, right? So the specific crime could be killing of the members, serious bodily harm or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births, or forcibly transferring children of the group. The mental element is to intend to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group as such. And the physical element is one of those things, one of those 5 acts enumerated.
And so, if Israel's purpose is to be committing genocide, as you're describing, why would it be that they're only doing this in response to one of the worst terror attacks in the history of our world that has been compared by many to Israel's 9/11, right? So let's start talking about what the primary goals.
Well, they haven't started. Their violence didn't start.
All right,
on October
so
7th.
it's not going to work when you interrupt me, right? So let's go about that, right?
Well, you interrupted me 3 times trying to state the
saying their violence didn't start October 7th is incredibly wrong. You know, Israel, as we all know, left Gaza in 2005. They've only returned for military operations, and their only presence in Gaza remains at the borders to ensure the safety of their citizens. And as such, Israel doesn't have that intent to kill these innocent civilians. However, when you have terrorist infrastructure embedded within all parts of society within Gaza, such as in hospitals, in schools, Israel has no choice but to destroy this terrorist infrastructure. If Israel wanted to deliberately destroy people from Gaza and the Palestinian people, there would be so many more efficient ways to do this. They're going about it in a way where they're really just targeting military personnel and trying to take out the 30,000 members of Hamas who are embedded in all aspects of Gazan society.
Okay.
Who have committed these terrible crimes against the Israeli people.
Richard. I just kind of want to set the tone for this discussion. Do you believe I have never heard these claims that you're making?
No, I'm not sure, but we're having a debate, and so that's how I'll start off my claims, and then I'm more than willing to hear your response to them.
Okay. So, in saying that the violence that Israel has committed against the Palestinians didn't start on October 7th, you claimed that that was wrong. Well, I mean, I have a world report up from 2019 that references at least, right, 34 Palestinians that were killed by munitions of Israel, right, just as of October 31st in 2019, right, so not even the whole year. And then also referencing that 80% of Gaza relies on humanitarian aid due to the 12-year closure of Gaza by Israel. So let's reference specifically those physical elements: killing members of the group and deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring upon its physical destruction in whole or in part. When you have an embargo that causes over 80% of the population to be reliant on humanitarian aid, that the humanitarian aid, even then, you limit to such an extent that it is one of the most food insecure areas in the world, they were committing genocide for a very, very long time. All that matters for them to have committed genocide isn't to be the most effective, G-siders in the world, the worst people in the world, the biggest killers of them, right? It is just for them to fit the qualities. So it's unequivocal that they have been fitting the physical element, right, of this crime for a very long time. We can talk about the mental element, but I think it's very clear that at least some statements and active policy goals of the Israeli government as it stands today is very clear, with the intent to destroy, in part, the national, ethnic, and racial and religious group, right, that composes the ethnic group of Palestinians, at least within the Gaza Strip, and clearly brutalization of them within the West Bank. That's a clear policy goal. So,
Yeah,
also, you said I was wrong. I don't
a
appreciate
lot
saying
of
you saying I was wrong when I wasn't.
a lot of elements of what you were saying. Sure, I mean, you can make these points, but it's about recognizing who's perpetuating all of these negative things that are happening in Gaza. And I think that anyone can recognize that Israel is not the governing body of the Gaza Strip. It's Hamas. And what does Hamas
It's an
do?
occupying force.
What does Hamas do with money they receive? What do?
They
They
do
go
a series of things.
What do they do with aid they receive? Do they go and they give it to their people, the 2 million people who are
A
struggling?
portion of it, yeah.
Or do they? No, they don't. What they do is they take their money and they build the most elaborate tunnel system in the whole world to allow them to carry out terror attacks that are unparalleled to anywhere else. And you're sitting here with this look as if this is unbeknownst to you. Oh,
no, I'm aware of these claims. I'm just befuddled by the confidence with which you're saying something that's categorically wrong. Hamas, okay.
These tunnels
Do you
exist,
think?
no?
So it's not true that Hamas gives no humanitarian aid to its civilians.
All right, let's not talk in absolutes here. Obviously, we're not living in a world of absolutes, right?
You're saying nothing of value.
Okay, no, let me rephrase.
No,
if you
but
want
you
to
said
use
also
absolutes as a way for you to, prove your point. That's not going to work for me because you're not going to fool me with absolutes. The point is that Gaza gets humanitarian aid, and the majority of that aid goes towards Hamas. Okay, that is a fact. There is a reason why
And do
so
you
many
have
people are
those numbers in front of you?
Pardon?
Do you have the numbers of what proportion they spent on, for example, social spending by comparison to defense spending?
I mean, you're asking for numbers that by no means.
You've made a claim about majority.
You're asking for numbers that would cease to exist in no world as a result of the governing body that lies in that territory. That doesn't mean that you can clearly see the negative effects that you have. That does not mean we cannot see the negative effects that you have cited throughout your whole discussion of the food insecurity going on in Gaza and all that stuff you brought up. And why would that be caused? That's not caused by Israel. That's caused by a government that has had the ability to run Gaza over the last 18 years and has done absolutely nothing to affect positive change within the territory.
Well, so first of all, it's been an occupied territory. It's been occupied by Israel for the past, at least, since 2012, so 11 years.
I don't know what this 2012 thing you're talking about is. Israel left Gaza in 2005. And then it
implemented a complete air, water, and ground blockade upon it in 2012.
I mean,
that's occupation.
That's not what occupation is.
Under international law, they are considered an occupying body.
What international law are you referring to?
I'm referring to the UN Charter. We can get the specific.
Are you really
trying
specific
to statement under? It's Article 49, I believe, under the UN Charter.
Are you really trying to cite one of the most corrupt organizations in the world as a body of evidence within your argument? Because that.
Well, I mean, I already have cited. So, the Israel. I'm not citing the organization. I'm citing the document that Israel signed. Israel signed the UN Charter. Israel signed the UN Accords as well. And they incorporated it actually as part of signing it. You incorporate international law into your national law. So I'm actually citing to you Israeli law.
I don't really know how you can go and bring those lines together or draw them because, quite frankly, I don't know what anything the UN says has anything to do with what's going on in Israel. And I'd rather look at real governing bodies in our world.
Well, I know I'm talking about what Israeli incorporated international law into their national law. Do you understand that concept?
Oh, of course I understand that concept.
So when you incorporate law into your own legal body, it means actually it becomes Israeli law. So I'm citing to you the Israeli understanding of occupation.
Yes, you are. But nonetheless, that doesn't change.
Nonetheless, you're still going to ignore it?
No, I'm not going to ignore the fact that you're insinuating that Israel's embedded within Gaza and is doing things on the daily to hurt civilians in times of not war.
Well, no, actually, Richard, all I said was that the claim that I'm making right now is that they're occupying Gaza, which they are, according to their own definition. You can test that, right? Making a character judgment of Israel or of the UN, which is totally useless. You've since lost that argument, and now you're trying to move on from it. But they are, in fact, occupying Gaza. And with occupying them, once again, according to their own laws, as they incorporated it with the international law, they have obligations to those Gazans.
I mean, how many gold medals does Gaza have?
What?
How many gold medals does Gaza have?
What does that have to do with anything I just said?
What do you mean? The more gold medals you have, the better of a country you are. What do you think the point
Gold
of
medals from whom?
What do you mean? From the Olympics? Where do you think you get a gold medal from?
I mean, you can get gold medal. I genuinely didn't know what you were talking about. I don't know how many gold medals the Palestinians have. Also, how many good athletes you have doesn't denote your quality living. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Why is them having a gold medal relevant to them being an occupied territory? Don't you think that an occupied territory maybe would have a worse showing in the Olympics?
I mean, the Olympics it's. Where did you go to school? Are you like university educated?
Yeah, I go to the University of Oxford.
Where is that? Sorry, I've never heard of it. Is that a European?
Liberal arts college in south
I'm
of
American.
London.
Sorry, I go to University of Chicago. I'm not familiar with that's not an American university, no?
It's a small liberal arts college outside of London.
London, England?
But yeah.
What? Why are you like? Is it? It's crazy that I don't know University of what? Oxford?
Okay. The point is you're clearly attempting to deflect. I don't know why you're doing that. That's a pattern of abusers, right? Which I've had way too many in my life. But let's try and keep on topic. Israel's clearly occupying Gaza. That gives them obligations to Gazans. That means the starvation of Gazans due to their actions, at least in some form or fashion, falls within their purview and responsibility.
But I mean, nonetheless, it's
Very
what
little
is
argument there.
Israel supposed to do when they don't have the ability to control stuff because Hamas is running the territory, and Hamas is a terrorist organization that doesn't want to collaborate with Israel.
They could feed them.
What do you
they
mean?
Could not engage in an illegal occupation. Once again, also, I'm just going to let another probe pally up for a second, because I need to go get my food. But let's see if this probe pally is chill. Let's see. All right, maybe it won't load.
Yeah.
I'm at Univ, everyone, if you were wondering. Let's see if that'll load. Oh, Kobe, you're chill.
Oh, purr. Hi, Will.
Hello.
Hi, I need to go get my food. Do you want to cover it for a second?
It's me, Kimberly, by the way.
What? Yeah, I know.
Let's dance.
Oh, sorry. It's me. Sorry. Ew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kimberly, do you want to cover it for a second? I need to go get my food and chill for a second.
Yeah, I can cover. Yeah, purr.
Thank you.
Exactly. No problem. So, Richard, what does the gold medal have to do with anything?
No, we moved on from the gold medals. I think that the primary point we were talking about is the whole point of you insinuating. Well, no, I don't know. It's not you, but your friend. I don't know if you know him, but maybe it's your friend. Insinuating that Israel has the obligation to feed the Palestinian people, to take care of them when they have no ability to collaborate with the government embedded within that territory.
Mm-hmm. So, do Palestinians have an airport in Gaza?
No, I don't believe there is an airport in Gaza.
Why do you think they don't have an airport?
I think that they don't have an airport because they've been proven time and time again to commit terrorist attacks at a rate that's unparalleled to anywhere else in the world.
That wasn't the question I asked you. Why don't they
You
have
asked
an
me
airport?
why do you think they don't have an airport? And I just answered. Are you not satisfied with my
Who
answer?
destroyed? No, who destroyed the airport?
You tell me.
Take a guess.
I don't know. The
The
England.
Israeli government, the IDF, during the Second Intifada. Have you ever heard of Military Order 158?
The second Antifada. Why don't you tell me what an Antifada is about? Tell me. Go say it.
The revolution?
No. Revolution.
Yeah, you mean the one that was triggered because Ariel Sharon, who's a right-wing politician who also did the Sabra and Shatila massacre in 1982, where he went into Lebanon and unalived 3,000 Palestinian refugees who had fled from Palestine? You mean that one? That Ariel Sharon,
Listen,
the
if
one
you're
who
going to
wanted to
support,
trigger?
you're
No,
going to
one
support.
second. Wait, one
If
second,
you're going
Richard.
to be,
Wait, 1 second, Richard. The same Ariel Sharon who was accused of committing a genocide by the United Nations because he went into Lebanon, a country that doesn't belong to him, and unalived the 3,000 Palestinian refugees who had fled from Palestine, right? Who were victims of the Nakba. So that same Ariel Sharon who was terrorizing Palestinians even before, do you know when do you know when Hummus was created, Richard?
hummus?
The age group. Do you know when the age group was created?
Did you just ask me when was hummus created? Like with crackers?
No, I meant I don't want to get Will's live taken down. Do you know when the age group was created?
What age group of what?
The age group.
You mean who? Like Hamas? Are you referring to Hamas?
Yeah. When were they created?
I believe that Hamas started in, I think it was 2005 when they took over Gaza instead of the PLO.
No, 1987 during the first Intifada. Do you know when the Sabra and Shatila massacre happened?
You see, the biggest issue I have here.
Richard, can you please switch to one point?
You've been talking, and now I'm
No,
going to
wait,
respond.
hold on. Do you know when the Sabra and Shatila massacre happened?
No, I don't. Enlighten me.
In 1982.
Well,
okay. So
think
this was prior to the military wing of Hamas ever being created, right? Prior to them being militarized. Ariel Sharon, the same man who went into the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, which triggered the Second Intifada after the Camp David summit even crumbled. He was the one who was in charge of unaliving 3,000 Palestinian people before H Group even existed, right?
At a certain point, you will not stop talking and let me respond. This is ridiculous. You have to let me talk.
Questions, but
You're just going on rants and rants. That is not a debate. A debate is a two-sided thing where two people respond to each other. Okay? And it's now my time to respond. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is antifadas. Antifadas are violent riots. There is no world in Western civilization where we support violent riots, we support innocent people being killed. Whether there's a response to it, I don't care what someone did. There is never anything right about killing other people. And you saying that an antifada is okay because Ariel Sharon did this, he did that, that's not how this world works. Maybe you live in a world where you can kill someone and we'll kill someone back, but I live in a world where all murder is wrong, all death is wrong, and we don't try and kill innocent people. But you seem to be justifying it with all these things that you are alleging the Israeli government did.
So I guess George Washington was I guess George Washington.
Maybe you
I
do,
guess you
but
don't.
I don't.
Wait, hold on. I guess you don't celebrate the 4th of July then, Richard, right? Because George Washington was also a terrorist. Because wasn't that also
well,
revolution?
Luckily for you, I'm not American, so I don't.
Hold on, Richard. Because first of all, it's not antifada, it's intifada. Right?
All right, you can correct me and try and make yourself feel
hold
good about
on
yourself.
1 second.
I don't really care.
Richard, you're scaring me. Calm down. You don't have to be so angry. So Again, if you say that you don't support a revolution, right? Does that mean that you don't celebrate the 4th of July? And
Okay,
you don't
so
celebrate the founding fathers
you're
or
asking me
George
questions and
Washington?
you're not letting me respond. You're saying do I support the 4th of July? So I'm actually not even American.
Okay. Bon
So I
appetit.
don't support the 4th of July. I don't care about the
Richard, didn't
founding
you say
fathers.
you were American?
I go to
Yeah,
University
literally.
of Chicago, but I'm not American.
Where are
Oh,
you
I'm
okay.
from?
What's
Canadian.
your national origin?
I'm Canadian.
Okay.
So I don't support the 4th of July, and I don't support the founding fathers. So I don't see why
So you
that's
think George
relevant.
Washington
And
was
you
a
are
terrorist?
referring to
Do you
I don't
think
want to
George
say it wrong
Washington
because
was
I
a
feel like you'll
do you
correct
think
me. But you said Intifa. I don't know. I don't really know the
do you think
pronunciation.
George Washington was a terrorist, Richard? Or a
No, I most certainly
fighter?
do not, and neither
Why
does
not though?
because I see the world with a critical lens, not a lens of whatever. I mean, you are. I mean, the American.
But I thought you
Obviously,
said
I'm going to support the American government. It's the
but I thought
America
you
is the
said
epitome of a
hmm
democracy. It's the epitome of a Western world. I'm not going to go and
But I
spin
thought
all
you
over.
said you don't support revolutions because revolutions are violent.
Oh,
Which is why you said you didn't support the first and second Intifada, right? And
I don't know
Intifada just
why we're
means
talking about America.
hold
I'm
on
not educated on
one second,
American
Richard.
history or American
Wait,
politics,
hold
as
on,
I'm not an American.
one second, Richard, 1 second, right? You said you don't support the Intifada, which just basically means revolution or uprising in Arabic, right? It doesn't mean anything else. But then you turn around and you're saying you support the American Revolution. You said that there was no
I
revolution.
never said I support the American Revolution.
Okay, so then you think that George Washington was a terrorist.
I don't know anything about George Washington. I'm Canadian. I don't care about George Washington. I don't care.
So
Why are you
then
talking
if
about George Washington? I don't
okay,
care about George Washington.
calm down, Richard. Why I don't understand why you're being so angry. Like you don't have to scream.
No, trust me, I'm not angry.
We can have a civilized conversation, right?
All right, but
So
you keep talking about
you're
George
saying,
Washington. It's not going to work.
hold on. If you're saying that you can't comment on American history because you have no idea about American history, why are you commenting on Palestinian history when you have no idea about Palestinian history?
Well, I actually have British origins, and maybe you don't know this, but I'll inform you that Britain actually ran the Palestinian territory from 1918, I believe, after the Second World War, until they gave it to the Israeli people in 1948. And what happened in 1940? You gotta let me talk. What happened in 1948? They gave it to
What
the
was it
Israeli
called?
people.
Just to be extraordinarily clear, the British did not give it in
Thank
1948.
you.
Actually,
Yes, they did. It was the UN partition.
One second.
The Britons agreed to do it.
This is what's funny. I actually know the history. Prior to that, in 1937, the British handed over control of that mandate following a series of terror attacks by what would later become the IDF, right? And they gave the mandate over to the UN. The UN then did the British mandate, or did the partition plan. Okay, it was the UN's action. It was not the British action. Those are two different things. Also, if you're going to label terrorists, right, or T groups, right, it's very clear that if you have British origins and want to talk from a British perspective, the IDF, at the very least, inherited a legacy of T-ism, because the British, for 20 or 30 years, labeled, right, the IDF's founding members as T-ists against them.
But also, wait, hold on, wait. Can I add on to that as well, right?
Guys, you gotta give me a chance to talk. I
Hold
can't
on.
argue against you.
You're gonna respond. 1 second. Calm down. Let's have a civilized
I'm
conversation.
very calm.
Yes, you're kind of
I
giving
am.
me
Yes, I
anxiety,
am.
right?
Yes,
But
I am.
anyways, the United Nations partition plan was also just a proposal, right? It was a proposal that was nullified because the Palestinian side did not even have actual representation. It was the Arab countries that represented them, but Palestinians were never asked, right? They were never brought into the negotiation process. And the moment that it was rejected, it was nullified. It was just a proposal. So the United Nations did not give Israel the land. The British did not give Israel the land because they didn't actually own the land, because Palestine was not a colony. It was a mandate. Who established, hold on, the people who established Israel were the militia that Will just mentioned, the Haganah, the Irgun, the Sterngang, the Palmach. Those are the groups that established Israel. It wasn't the United Nations. It wasn't the British, Richard.
All right. So, am I good to respond now?
Yeah, you can
You
respond.
obviously are, Richard. What did I say about literally everyone doing this? Richard, you entered this discussion interrupting me 3 times. And then now you're bitching and moaning about being interrupted.
I just asked if I could respond, and
then every single serial
Listen,
interrupter, as I said,
I'm-
does
all
this same move. It's immature and it's predictable.
I'm responding. Okay. So you were talking a lot about how the Palestinians didn't have a seat at the table in 1948, and as such, the agreement was nullified. So it's important to recognize that at that time, there were Muslim people living in Israel, there were Jewish people living in Israel, and I'm not sure if there was a Christian population. I believe there was a small one. I could be mistaken. Nonetheless,
There was.
Yeah, nonetheless, it's not really that relevant. Because what happened is that the UN partition was to give the Jews part of the territory, majority of it being the desert, and to give the Arabs another half of the territory. And the Arabs weren't happy with sharing the territory with the Jews. They wanted all to themselves. And so what happened? They all waged war on Israel.
Can I respond?
And so, can you respond? As I'm
I
pretty
thought
sure
you were done.
I'm pretty sure your friend here just labeled me immature for doing the exact same thing. And
Yeah, but she was actually correct. You weren't done talking, so the question was productive.
Well, there's nothing wrong with clarifying. Nonetheless, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I was talking about how the Arabs waged war on the Jewish people as a result of their inability to accept that they wanted to share the land. And so what happened is they waged war. They obviously lost because they always lose and they always will lose. And so they lost parts of the land as a result of that. But they're the ones who waged that war, and you're the one who admitted it. You said that they didn't agree with that deal, and so they waged war. And once you wage war, I mean, you're leaving yourself up to anything. And now you may respond.
Okay, good. So the Palestinian Arab Congress actually in 1928 voted for Jewish political representation in a unitary state. In 1947, the Palestinian Arab Congress had another vote yet again for a unitary state. Palestinians have always wanted a unitary state where Jewish, Christians, Muslims, Baha'i, Samaritans can live together within that unitary state, right? So the negotiation process did not include Palestinians at all. They did not ask them for consent if they wanted the other Arab leaders to represent them, right? So that would be like, let's say you are married, you have a divorce, you're in the midst of a custody battle, and then your partner takes your neighbor without asking you for consent, without you saying your neighbor can represent you, and then your partner and your neighbor go to court, right? And then they decide on your
You
the
don't need to
custody
walk me
of
through
your
the implications
children.
of them not having a seat at the table.
I'm not done, right? So quiet down a little bit. Let me finish, right? So at least have some respect because I muted and I let you monologue. But so imagine if then your partner and then your neighbor went to court to represent you on your behalf. Do you think that would be a valid decision without you being taken into account, your needs, your interests?
Well, considering that there was no Palestinian government, and there's never been such a thing within the history of our world leading up to that point, I find it fair that the Arab countries can represent the Palestinian people because
No, the Palestinian Arab Congress actually existed, right? So when the British Mandate, which again wasn't a colony, it was just like had administrative duties, the Palestinians were still governing themselves under the Palestinian Arab Congress. So there was a possibility for them to be represented through the Palestinian Arab Congress. They just were not asked. They were not included in the what's called in the negotiation process. And second of all, fun fact, there was no Israeli government either. There was no Israeli government either, and yet the Zionists were still included in the negotiation process. Palestinians were not, Richard. And because they were not included, they were not obligated to agree with the partition plan, which again was just a proposal. Right? And also that proposal included a couple of conditions, and those conditions were that a Palestinian state needed to be recognized. And then a couple of years later, resolution 194, I think, or 192, I think 194, was that Palestinian refugees needed to be returned back to their home, like to their villages. And Israel agreed to those conditions, but never ever fulfilled those conditions. So the Jewish
194.
militia, the Haganah, the Irgun, the Sterngang, the Palmach, illegally established the state of Israel through active violence, which was known as the Nekba, which started in 1947 and then ended towards the late 1948, where they displaced over 750,000 people, destroyed over 531 villages, and unalived over 15,000 people. So technically, by your logic, they were also terrorists.
I don't really know how we got to that. I mean, that was a really long monologue with a lot of connections and lines being drawn between them. And quite frankly, I don't know how that makes Israeli people fighting to save, Jewish people living in the land of Israel fighting to save their lives terrorists. But I guess if that's the type of line of reasoning that you like to go by, and
you brought it up, Richard.
I don't think I ever called.
You did. You said revolutions and uprisings were terrorism. You brought it up.
I did not
And then
say
that's
that.
how we.
I never said revolutions are terrorism. I said
Intifada.
antifadas.
You did.
I said antifadas are terrorism.
First of all, it's
put
not
words in my mouth that were never
antifada.
said.
It's not antifada. It's intifada.
I don't care what the correct pronunciation is.
Okay, so
Either way,
so
if you
an
get my point,
intifada
you don't
is
have to correct me.
literally. Okay, and no, I have to correct it because you're saying it wrong, right? So an intifada is literally a revolution or an uprising. And you said that that was violent. But then when it comes to other revolutions in the West, for example, all of a sudden they're not violent. When it comes to, let's say, the Jewish militias, like the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Palmach, and the Sterngang, which were actively labeled as terrorist groups, so much so that Albert Einstein, with a bunch of other European Jewish people in 1948, wrote a letter that was published in the New York Times, even criticizing the Jewish militia, specifically Menachem Begin, saying that they were using fascistic tactics and equated them to the Yazis. That was Albert Einstein, right? So it was well recognized, even by the American government, that they did use terrorist tactics to establish the state of Israel illegally.
I mean, you can talk about all of that, but you also have to recognize that the Arabs and the Palestinian people were completely unwilling to split any of the land with the Jews. And that's why they waged war on them in 1948.
Why do you think they didn't want to split the land?
I mean, the land is not the Palestinians. I mean, we can go back thousands of years. I mean, we all know that the land belongs to the Jews. I mean, you can look in the Quran. They refer to Jews as, I believe the word is, it's Judeas or something like that. But either way, the meaning of that word is the people of Judea. Judea is the land of Israel.
Wait, that's not true. So I'm going to jump in here just for a second.
Yeah.
Do you know the territorial extent of the Kingdom of Judea, Richard?
Sorry. Give me a second.
You can. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can find it in my camera roll, just so we're extraordinarily clear about this. Womp womp. Womp. Okay. So that's the first symbol, but then let's see if we can find it. So just for everyone's reference, this is the partition plan. That's the partition plan. Deeply unfair, extraordinarily unfair. If you look at the proportion of arable land, for example. But then I surely have it somewhere in here.
Can I just hop in for a sec?
Yeah.
You mind? I guess you have your friend Covey. Do you mind adding? I have a friend. I believe it's Gishmak Herring. He's requesting to join. Would you mind adding him in?
Sure. I typically don't do panels, and TBH I was going to end the panel, but we can have a short little.
It'll be productive.
Gishmak Herring.
Oh.
What's up, gang?
What's up, Queens? Do you know the territorial extent of Judea?
Like the ancient province?
Well, not so. We're talking about the kingdom of Judea, right?
Like when it existed.
A little. What?
Like when it existed, like under King David? Like is that like you're talking
under
about
King David, not the province under Rome.
This is a lot before the Roman Empire, the kingdom of Judea.
Well, I'm aware. So you asked about the province, which was the Roman.
No, like
control of Judea.
Okay, province, kingdom. It's just like that.
It was known as a province under Rome, and then it was known as a kingdom when it was self-ruling, and then it was actually known as a different kingdom following Rome, and then it went back under Roman control, and then it went under Babylonian control, then it went under Ottoman control. We could go through the whole history, but I was pulling it up because I don't think David has any clue what he's talking about when he claims that, references Judea as the only occupants of the land when they never occupied that entire territory that they claim is Israel. If anyone wants to look up the territorial extent of the kingdom of Judea, doesn't.
This is before the Roman Empire. You're asking before the Roman Empire?
Yep.
Okay, like what exactly the territory was?
Yeah. Did it include the current territory of Israel?
Like Judea is a part of the current kingdom, like current country of Israel.
But is it the entirety?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay, yeah, that's my point. So even if you want to claim that, Jews are the sole and only inheritors of the kingdom of Judea, right? That would not justify the land claims of Israel because they go well beyond the old land claims of Judea. It's also obviously wrong, right? The people of Judea came from the Canaanite people, right, who had their own political systems and political sovereignty in certain territories across tribal lands that was very varied. And who has more Canaanite DNA than most Jews? Most Palestinians. So if we really want to talk about who the indigenous people are, well, I think a lot of Jewish people are indigenous, and I think a lot of Palestinian people are indigenous. To claim that one of these peoples who have done a lot of swapping throughout history, because by the way, a lot of Palestinians have converted to Judaism, and a lot of Jews in the area converted to Islam. There's been a lot of swapping. So this just isn't how indigeneity works. Do you agree with Richard's genuinely ahistorical claim that the Jews are the only inheritors of this land?
That Jews are the only inheritors of this land. Yeah. I believe that Jews are an inheritor of the land. I don't believe Palestinians inherited the land. They
Do you think that a lot of Palestinian people are indigenous?
Yeah, I'd say some Palestinian people are indigenous.
Wonderful. Yeah,
100%. I believe that this land should be shared between Jews and Palestinians.
I agree. That's what the Palestinians wanted as well prior to the partition plan.
Can I ask this briefly?
Sure.
I just want to add this one little thing, and that is Palestinians in general are very, very closely tied to the Canaanites. You can see Canaanite culture still being celebrated by the Palestinians. Like, for example, the Debka, which is the dance that Palestinians do where they are holding hands in a circle or holding a stick and dancing. That can directly be found in Canaanite culture. You also have tatriz, which is the way that they sew their clothing or their tobe, their traditional clothing. That is also found in Canaanite culture. And then you also have the hats. The long hats that people wear, the Palestinian people wear with their traditional clothing, that can also be found in Canaan, archaeologically has been found in Canaanite statues, right? So you have the tatriz, you have the way that olive oil is also prepared, and you have the debka. So it shows that Palestinian people are closely linked with the Canaanites. They're only Arabized Canaanites, and they're not tribal Arabs from the Arabian Peninsula.
Wow, that's super interesting. I never knew that about the dancing. Thanks for telling me. But Jews also have like many cultural practices that tie directly to the land Israel. Did you know that too?
Oh,
So like,
I
I hope you're
never,
not making the argument at the expense of Jews,
yeah, I never
because
dismissed that ethnic Jewish people are indigenous to the land. I never
okay,
dismissed that part. I'm
right.
just saying that
Only Richard
Palestinians,
did, yeah.
yeah, I'm saying
Richard
that,
was the only one that said someone wasn't indigenous.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, so what should we talk about now?
Do you agree with Richard? Why? Like, what's the? I don't know your positions, brother.
Position on what exactly?
I don't know. Do you agree with like anything Richard has said? Richard was the one that asked you to be brought up. If you kind of agree that the land should be shared between the Israelis or between the Jews and the Arabs, then generally you and I
Oh,
would
like
agree.
I believe in theory that the land should be shared between Jews and Palestinians and anyone who wants to live there, but I think in practice that is just like, as we've seen, that just can't happen right now. Like ideally that would be amazing, you know?
Okay.
Ideally, like Jewish kids can go to school and learn, Judaism across the street from a Palestinian school, like in this land that they both come from. But unfortunately, there's just so much fighting, and there's been, a long history of bloodshed and violence. And, I know both sides that want the people to live in their ancestral land. And it's just a tragedy that there can't be peace there because it's a holy land, That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
great. That sounds drastically different than what Richard's saying. I'm just wondering, Richard, why'd you ask this guy to bring up? It's kind of awkward because like we're kind of agreeing. It's really awkward when everyone agrees that like humans deserve rights.
No, but I think Israelis deserve rights too. Like so do Palestinians.
I don't disagree.
Oh.
Can I ask Richard a question, Will?
Sure.
Do you think Israel's an apartheid state?
Ooh, me?
I was asking Richard that question, but you can answer if you want to
Yeah,
as well.
sorry, I'm just on mute. I'm taking a fat shit.
Oh,
Wasn't necessary.
that wasn't
Richard,
funny,
it's great that
Richard.
your body's working as it should be. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, so I don't. So the definition of apartheid, I actually don't think it's an apartheid state. But I assume you probably do. And if you want to talk about that, we totally can.
Yeah. So have you read the United Nations Apartheid Convention and the definition there?
No, I have not. But my mom was actually born in South Africa and lived, the first 20 years of her life in apartheid. So I know kind of the gist of it.
So what do
And
you
I've
think
also been in
about
Israel
South
a lot.
Africa? What do you think about South Africa labeling it also an apartheid state?
South Africa labeling Israel apartheid state?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty silly because, the things that made South Africa apartheid don't really happen in Israel. And I'm happy to get into that if you
Okay,
want to.
so so in order for a state not to be an apartheid state, there should be equal law that is applicable to all citizens, right? Israeli citizens.
100% equal to all
Okay.
citizens.
So the law of return, who does it apply to?
It applies to Jews.
What about the non-Jewish Arab Israelis?
Are they non-Jewish Arab Israelis who live in Israel? Well, why would they apply for the right of return if they live in Israel?
Because they were separated from their family members during the Nakba. And a lot of them have asked for their separated family members to return to Israel. And these are Israeli citizens, but they're not Jewish.
The family of Arab Israelis?
The family members of Arab Israelis, they have asked for the family members of Arab Israelis to return back home. So does the law of return apply to them?
I do not think it applies to them. No.
Okay, so that is one law that doesn't apply equally to everybody. What is the nation state law?
Let's choose a different law because that's like a gray area. There's Jewish sovereignty in the land. It's a Jewish state.
That's not a gray area.
It's not it's not a Palestinian state. It's a Jewish state.
But so but it was also South Africa was also a British white state. That's what made it apartheid.
Well, what made it
the fact that a state has chosen to give legal preference to one ethnicity or religion is what makes it not good.
And also an ethnocracy and not a democracy. But what is the nation state law, Gishmak?
The nation state law? Can you tell me what the nation state law is, please?
Yeah, so the nation-state law was passed in 2018. There were three important points to the nation-state law. Number one, that only Jewish people in Israel have self-determination. Arab Israelis don't have self-determination. So that is one distinction that is made. Number two, the status of Arabic as a language is demoted, and Jewish is kind of elevated, right, or pedestalized within Israeli society. And number three, the establishment of and the expansion of Jewish settlements is to be promoted and supported by the Israeli government. Arab Israelis, non-Jewish Arab Israelis, are not allowed to expand any settlements, are not allowed to have any settlements, basically. So that is what the nation-state law states, and it was passed in 2018. So,
Cool.
Hebrew, sorry, it was Hebrew, not Jewish. I said Jewish. I meant Hebrew with the second point. Yeah, so that law also doesn't apply to non-Jewish Arab Israelis.
Huh. That's so interesting. Well, I mean, Israel's a Jewish state, and it's going to stay a Jewish state. And obviously, sometimes countries pass laws that are controversial, and it seems, based on what you just said, this one is a little bit. And sure, Am Yisrael freaking chai.
And do you know what the Jewish National Fund is?
Yes, they're like an organization, I guess, that raises money to build stuff in Israel for Jews, I guess.
They buy land, they lease land, they can mortgage. They also get rid of olive groves and plant European pine trees. The JNF currently owns about 90% of the land in Israel. Who does the JNF rent to?
I don't know.
To only Jewish people.
No freaking way.
The JNF, no, the JNF stipulates, right, that it
But what
can
does JNF
only
stand for?
rent
What does JNF stand for?
Jewish National Fund.
And they only donate to Jewish people?
Not donate. They only rent land or sell it to Jewish citizens.
Really?
Mhm.
No freaking way. The JNF, the Jewish National Fund, only rents land to Jews in their
Yeah, so
ancestral
what
homeland?
happens to so if you're claiming it's not an apartheid state, how come there are laws that apply differently depending on if you're Jewish or non-Jewish?
I think the right of return law is just like a difficult law to just. Can we just discuss any other law? Like, are there any other censuses?
I mentioned
for
I mentioned
citizens?
two other points.
Okay, what are
Yeah.
other
But
ones
that
for
law is
citizens?
foundational to Israel.
Hmm?
That law, the right of return, is foundational to the entire existence of Israel, right? It was one of the first laws passed by the Israeli Congress. And so you can't just disregard one of the most important laws in Israeli history. But second of all, you defended that law by saying, yeah, it is a Jewish state. Once again, that's like if I went to Ireland, right, and said, yeah, this is a British state. South Africa, yeah, this is a British state. This is a white state. Of course, we give the right to live here to white people. Yeah, you can say, yeah, of course it's apartheid, just in different words. You're just agreeing.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, but also you said you knew about South African apartheid,
Yeah,
right?
so in South Africa, what happened is there's like separate bathrooms for colored people and
Mhm.
white people,
Like,
In Israel, you don't see anything like that. Like there are literally
Did
Arabs, there are Arab
mhm.
Muslims in the Israeli government who have
So
like political parties.
did black South Africans have citizenship during apartheid?
I think they did. I think that's the whole point of
No,
apartheid.
no, they didn't.
Isn't
Black South
didn't you tell me? Didn't you tell me the whole part of apartheid was if citizens are treated differently?
No, not necessarily only citizens, just people living within a country or within a territory.
Yeah.
So black
Totally
South
nationals.
Yeah. So black South Africans actually were not granted citizenship. That was also the
Okay.
main issue with
So you're
apartheid,
saying
right?
because they lived in
So
the
for
same country.
example,
Sorry.
hmm
So you're saying because they live in the country and they're subject to different rulings, that's apartheid?
no, I'm not talking about Israeli citizens now.
No, in South Africa.
In South Africa, exactly. They were denied get citizenship.
Okay, I see. But in Israel, there are, a lot of Palestinians aren't citizens of Israel.
no, Palestinian Israelis are citizens of Israel.
Yes, and
because you have that term Arab Israeli, which I don't necessarily like, right? Because not all Arab Israelis are Palestinians. You have the Druze, you have the Bedouins, you have other groups of people as well, which are just categorized as Arab Israeli, which is why I'm specifically talking about Palestinian Israelis, right? But what about the West Bank? What is the West Bank divided into?
it's divided into like 3 different areas based on how much Israeli control is in each area, right?
And do the settlers and the Palestinians, like Palestinians living in the West Bank, do they go to the same courts? Do they fall under the same jurisdiction?
No, I doubt it. I don't think
Okay.
any Israeli, any Jew who's living in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, whatever you want to call it, would go to a Palestinian court. And I would also, like, no Palestinian would go to a Jewish court in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, the land.
So it's military court, basically, military law and civil court. So settlers go to civil court and Palestinians go to military court, which has a conviction rate about 99%, right?
Why do you say
that is
settlers and
also
not Jews?
another example of apartheid. One last thing I want to say. Jewish people, are they legally allowed to marry non-Jewish people in Israel?
Legally, under the rabbinate, I don't think so. I don't think they are allowed to, because it's like a Jewish law, like from the Torah, from the
So
Bible.
what happens if a Jewish Israeli person falls in love with a Palestinian person, and knowing full well that Palestinian people are barred from getting naturalized? So Palestinian person can never be naturalized, even if they marry an Israeli person, right? So
What does that
let's
mean to be
say,
naturalized?
so to get citizenship.
Oh.
You live in a country for a couple of years. Depending on each country, they have different years, right? You fulfill all the conditions, and then you can apply for citizenship and you become naturalized, right? And Palestinians are actually barred from naturalization, even if they're a spouse of an Israeli. So what happens if an Israeli
they're
Jewish citizen marries
Yeah.
a Palestinian? Can they live in Israel proper?
Well, so first of all, they'd have to leave Israel to get married. They wouldn't be able to get married in Israel. And you're asking if they can live in Israel? I don't know. Can they?
No, they have to move to the West Bank.
Really?
Yeah. So
Interesting.
tell me how
I
this
guess
isn't an apartheid
okay.
state with all of these restrictions. I mean, Will, with all the things I've listed, that kind of sounds like an apartheid state, doesn't it?
Well, it's so obviously an apartheid state, just for he can have whatever knowledge of South Africa he wants. We can just reference the UN's Convention on Apartheid, and they define it really clearly, right? So they define it shall include similar policies and practices of racial segregation and discrimination as practiced in South Africa shall apply to the following inhumane acts committed for the purposes of establishing and maintaining domination of one racial group or another over another group of peoples and systemically oppressing them. That includes things like any legislative measures and other measures calculated to prevent a racial group from participation in social, political, economic, cultural life of the country and the deliberate creation of conditions to prevent the full development of such a group, in particular by denying members of that racial group or groups basic human rights and freedoms, right? So, and it literally names out such as the right to work, the right to recognize trade unions, the right to education, the right to leave and return to their country, the right to a nationality, the right to freedom of movement and residency, the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Do we want to remind everyone what has happened basically every time the Palestinians have organized a assembly? Do we want to remember the limited nationality access that Palestinians have? Or, for example, the denial of the Nakba refugees, their nationality and their right to return to the country, simply on the basis of their racial and ethnic group, right? That was the reasoning they provided for the Nakba. Literally, the Israeli policy is that it would be an ethno-demographic threat. They are saying verbatim their intent, so we should believe them. So yeah, absolutely. Everything you pointed out literally falls under very clearly Article 2, right? International Convention on Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid.
Hmm. Let's not go
So
into
Palestinians can't become Israeli citizens?
Palestinian spouses. If they're married to Israelis, they cannot become Israeli citizens. No.
Can any Palestinians become like Israeli citizens?
They've
Can they
Through
not?
conversion.
Anyone?
Through conversion, they could, just to be clear.
Okay. I guess like that. Okay. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. But also like,
But if I force
yeah.
you to convert to my cultural religion, that's, denying you your right to your freedom of opinion and expression, and would be assimilation and would be a part of, apartheid. And some would consider it, actually, the UN would consider it cultural genocide as well.
Yeah. Which is also, genocide, basically.
No freaking way.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
So did you know that B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization, including Amnesty International, including Human Rights Watch and United Nations, label Israel an apartheid state?
Can you repeat that, please?
I said B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization that is based in Tel Aviv, that was founded in the 1980s, and Human Rights Watch and United Nations and also Amnesty International all claim Israel to be an apartheid state.
I know lots of people claim Israel to be an apartheid state. Tons.
These aren't people though. These are human rights organizations.
Yeah, and so is like the UN, no? The UN
Yeah, the
claims
UN
to be a human rights
claims.
organization.
Yeah, and the UN claims Israel to be an apartheid state as well.
Yeah, but it's the UN. Like the UN is broken.
Yeah, but you ignored the other three that she cited. Do you know what those are?
No, I know a bunch of people think Israel's an apartheid state, but like at the end of the day, the real ones know it's not. You know?
What about B'Tselem though?
So do you know what? Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, but do you know what Amnesty is? Do you know what Human Rights Watch is? Do you know what B'Tselem is?
It's like as Human Rights Watch, like this, like probably some sort of like thingy that just looks at countries and is like bang apartheid.
So is your answer no?
You're talking about?
So your answer is no. You don't know what they are.
Like I've heard of them, but no, you could tell me what they are. I guess my answer is no.
Okay,
You're
my
right.
answer is okay. If you.
By the way, I really
like
like your sweater thing that you're wearing.
Thank you. I thrifted it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't love apartheid or apartheid apologists.
True. I mean,
the thing is like you've been really nonchalant. Actually, I'm just going to address this because it's been really annoying me. You've been extremely nonchalant when we've been presenting you evidence of the country and peoples that you have been protecting and advocating for committing one of the worst crimes known to humanity, and you've been laughing it off and scoffing it off.
Jeez. Okay, I think
I have insomnia, but I don't even understand how you sleep at night with that.
Yeah.
Like, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we maintain the Californian accent, right, while talking about genocide and talking about apartheid and talking about these horrendous things happening to these people? I don't understand, right? And you see how that's incredibly offensive. And we've been tolerating it because we speak to, despicable people all the time. But quiet evil is notably worse than allowed evil. So could you explain yourself?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like I kind of just joined because my friends sent me the link and they were like, hop in. I didn't really know any of your opinions, but usually like when I'm talking about Israel with people and they say words like apartheid or genocide, it's usually just anti-Semitism. So I don't think we'll be able to get any common ground. But I wish everyone best of luck, and I hope one day there'll be peace in the
Can you
land.
explain how it's anti-Semitic?
And Am Yisrael Cha.
Wait, hold on. Can you explain how it's anti-Semitic?
Sure.
Yeah, you can't just throw out that accusation.
Okay. I'll try. So one thing a lot of people say is that Israel's committing genocide, right?
Because it is.
Are you accusing us of being anti-Semitic, just to be very clear?
Well, I'm saying a lot of people say that Israel's committing genocide,
I want you to be very direct because I don't want any horrendous accidences, right, to be lost here. If you're going to say it with your full throat.
Okay. I think you might accidentally be anti-Semites. You might. Maybe. I don't know.
Make your accusation. Are you saying that we are?
No, I'm saying you might be. But I'm saying like you're saying something that is anti-Semitic. But can I just cook?
What did we say and how is it anti-Semitic? Yeah.
Okay, so Kavi 2.0. I don't know your name, but you said that right now
Athena's my name.
Israel is committing genocide, right?
Yeah.
If Israel's committing genocide, well, first of all, genocide is like when you try to delete a race from the planet, right?
No,
that's not the
really.
definition.
What's the definition of genocide?
Wait, I actually, you said to let you cook. Would us being wrong about them committing genocide be anti-Semitic?
Oh, here, I found that definition. Wait, what was your question? What did you just ask?
Just to kind of speed this along, would us being wrong about them committing genocide be anti-Semitic?
I don't know. But can I
know something?
If Israel is committing genocide, then wouldn't, like, you expect the Palestinian population to decrease?
Wait, but this isn't prove that you said we were anti-Semitic. That is incredibly offensive, right? When I have a deep respect for the Jewish, culture. I have a deep respect for, parts of my family that are Jewish. I hate anti-Semites. I live to fight against people like anti-Semites. I don't know what you've just accused us of, right? And I want to know if you're going to use this term, which is incredibly offensive to me and incredibly personally valuable to me, that we actually attack anti-Semites. I don't want it to be tokenized for cheap political gain. So I want you to tell us what we did that was anti-Semitic, so I know that you aren't one of those disgusting people that are tokenizing it to maintain a genocidal society.
Okay, so
tell me,
one
what did
thing
I do that was
think
anti-Semitic?
is-
What did I do that was offensive to my family? What did I do that was offensive to my friends? What did I do to this culture that I've lived around and been submerged in for my whole life? What did I do?
Well, I feel like you're just holding Israel to a different standard than any other country. Like, was America committing
Did I talk
genocide?
about any other country?
Well, was America committing genocide after 9/11 when they bombed Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever?
Oh, I would consider them, yeah.
Really?
I would consider them to have genocidal intent against the Arabs in Pakistan, or the Arabs in certain areas in Iraq, right? Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
then I guess according to you and your definition of genocide, then Israel has genocidal intentions, according to you. But
Well, the
according
UN's
to-
definition.
Huh?
But once again, tell me how I'm anti-Semitic or pull back the claim.
Okay, I pull back the claim. You're right.
Okay.
And you have a cool sweater. Wait, but can we
Still
talk?
not cool. Go fuck yourself.
Whoa.
That was genuinely kind of weird.
Yeah, and on that, I also am going to end the live,
Okay,
just because I need
cool.
to go to bed at a reasonable time.
Yeah, me too. No, legitimate, me too. But thank you for letting me up. This is my new account, by the way. The Kimberly account is gone, so just wanted to tell you
Cool.
that.
I think I follow you on here.
No, I
I might
think this
not
one is
already.
quite new. I think follow the
Now I do.
Kimberly one. Oh, per.
There we
Okay.
go.
Anyways, thank you
Cool.
for letting me up. I
Thanks
hope
so
you
much.
have a good night. Bye.
It's been lovely. Bye. Okay, my loves. I'm going to go. I am emotional when someone accuses me of being anti-Semitic. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm free to be emotional. I'm allowed to be emotional when someone accuses me of being anti-Semitic. I have much worse words than I can say on TikTok to say to someone that accuses me of being anti-Semitic. But anyway. Before TikTok takes down my account, what I'm going to say is there are 1,500 people on here. It means the world to me that people sit and listen to me. Basically all I've wanted my whole life. And it means the world to me that I can have some form of impact on what all of you think and what all of you know. And Kimberly knows way more than I do. Mad respect to her. Incredible, incredible person. So do go drop her a follow if you can. Support her in any way you can. And we are building a community around this. So go join my Discord. And also I want to be able to continue to create and make and do this and advocate and have these discussions. So if you can go follow my YouTube so that TikTok can't really take me down, that would mean the world as well, because they're coming after all of us, right? They took down Dean today, or maybe yesterday, but love you all. Please go follow me on my TikTok. Please just go to my link tree. Follow me that. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much for everyone sent a gift, and I'm sorry for everyone who I wasn't able to get to today. I'm sure you're all cool people, but I will let you up later. All right. Bye-bye, love all.